Good evening, all participants, and a warm welcome to the webinar, which is on data science for internal audit, arranged by Digital Accounting and Assurance Board of ICI. I welcome all the participants, chairman of the Digital Accounting and Assurance Board, and the speakers. Friends, data science is increasingly making its own mark on the audit world as they help auditors to find actionable audit insights throughout their work. The rise of audit analytics and data science is also making it easier for auditors to analyze large data sets and generate data analytics on their own rather than experts helping to them. Data science has become a game changer for internal audit function. More internal audit departments are now dependent on data scientists and the data science role to streamline the internal audit procedure. This is an area of career growth for data scientists also, and of course for professionals. And most companies are now dependent on data scientists for internal audit. Most analytics softwares, artificial intelligence, technology are also helping them to do this kind of work. And hence, the committee of ICI has arranged a session, a webinar on this important topic. We have two well-known speakers, Mr. Anand Jangir and Mr. Rajiv Gupta, who will be taking this session. But before we call them and hear them, we have Chairman Sir, Mr. C.S. Nanda, who is with us for his keynote address. Just a small introduction of Mr. Nanda, a prominent name in CF profession, fraternity, and profession. Mr. Nanda is currently a council member of 25th Council of ICI. He is serving ICI from last almost 25 years. He is chairman of various committees and vice chairman also various committees of ICI. Currently, he is the chairman of Digital Accounting and Assurance Board of ICI. Mr. Nanda, over to you for your keynote address.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Joshi. The very two revered speakers of the day, C.A. Rajiv Gupta, C.A. Anand Jangir. The secretary to the board, C.A. Amit Gupta, Nisaq from the technical support, and all officials from DAB. And more importantly, the participants who have come here to go home more enlightened. Ladies and gentlemen, your DAB is always ready to organize more and more programs for the benefit of membership at large. This program, slated today, would be one of the best programs in the history of DAB, Data Science for Internal Audits. Data assimilation is the greatest thing which you have today. A man who has oil is not rich. A man who has gold reserves are not rich. Man who has dollars and currency are not rich. People who have data and know how to analyze and use that data are actually rich. And data science will teach you how you will conduct data analysis on data and derive out something which is good for you. Internal audit essentially is a management function. You are answerable to the board or to the audit committee as the case may be. So when you go to the board and the audit committee with the reliable information on which they can bank upon and create dollars for the entire stakeholders, it is only possible when you have data, get it analyzed through the data science. We have two of the very best speakers, Mr. Gupta, who works with Flipkart, Mr. Jangir, who himself is an institution. Over the years, I've seen him growing with the growth in the profession. And one very great thing for your kind consideration. You'll be happy to know that on 1st July 2023, there were certain revolutionary measures. Inqilabi faisle jisko kehte hain. Forensic standards are made mandatory from 1st July 2023. And in order to assist the membership, we have come out with an implementation guide. Implementation guide, when it was made, it had 30 groups with more than 30 members in each group. When the entire first draft came, it went to the examining committee, the best in the profession. This examining committee, when it prepared the entire thing, it went to a review committee. And then, at the end, 3 legal reviews and the implementation guide is before you. It is on the website. And very shortly, the publication shall come. So, ladies and gentlemen, profession is at all-time high, as is the market. Today, the market also was at all-time high. So, you have to create value and worth. There is a couplet which I've always been reciting in these times. The couplet says, देते ना थे जो जवाब उनके सलाम आने लगे देते ना थे जो जवाब उनके सलाम आने लगे वक्त बदला तो मेरे नीम के पेड़ पर आम आने लगे इतने आम आने लगे हैं प्रोफेशन के अंदर कि आप उसे काटिए फिर उगाएंगे लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन प्लीज गो हेड reap the benefits of this great profession create value and worth and more importantly be at an area where you are able to add value to the entire initiative. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to this great program all across the country, and let us put across our thought process to create value and worth in bringing the best out of us, how we could add value not only to our client or stakeholders, but to the regulators and government as well. Thanks a lot, thanks a lot, both of the speakers. Thanks a lot to all of you. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Mr. Nanda sir, for your good, a nice address to the gathering. Now, friends, let's move to the main session. Let's call on Mr. Anand Prakash Jangid for his address. But before he cover his speech, just a small introduction of Mr. Jangid. He's a passionate evangelist for tech-based disruption in audit and finance domain. Mr. Jangid is professionally chartered accountant and certified information system auditor. He is managing partner at AJA, an organization with focus in the area of forensic audit, IS audit, fraud analytics, and blockchain for internal audit function. Mr. Anand was associated with Goldman Sachs and ES Consulting Group in past. He has been involved in enterprise risk management implementation and IT audit for many international projects at USA, UK, Japan, and China. Mr. Jangid is a regular visiting faculty for IIM Bangalore, teaching IS audit and fraud analytics. He is also visiting faculty at ISACA chapters, ICAI, and Wellington Institute of Management. With this short introduction, now I request Mr. Jangid to please take on his session. Sir, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi.
The introduction may be short,
you,
but Mr. Jangid in himself is a towering personality. So carry on along, Mr. Jangid, with a lot of questions you'll have. Let's create value in servicing our great profession, the profession of chartered accountancy. Please go ahead.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir, and thank you. And I think as Nanda sir was saying, and I was smiling, it was very interesting. And he was very right when he said there are a lot of new things happening in the domain, and I'm sure it's on us. How do we root it up? So with, without much ado, let me just start with what we have thought of, because me and Rajiv, we had a discussion on what would be the way the presentation should be taken, that it adds value to all the people present out here. And let me take you through what we are going to cover in our presentation. So I'm going to cover mostly on two very important things. I'll be starting on the genesis part of that. And I'll be also talking about some of the use cases or the learnings which we had in this domain. Because friends, one of the things which we all need to understand is internal audit function per se has come a long way in terms of how we see today. We have been having a lot of other things which were working. We have seen the ages of, I'm sure a lot of you people can connect with the days of ACL and ideas and tools like that. And today we live in a very, very different world. So let me just, deep dive into that whole thing of what we are going to cover out there. So the agenda for today's discussion from my side, and then Rajiv will be taking it forward, is to start with a little bit of basic concept of genesis. I'm actually telling you one thing, which is a lot of people don't understand. There is a kind of a theory which goes around that, let's say, for example, all of you sitting out here, if you knew that today, the Sensex is all-time high, and you were able to invest the same kind of amount 10 years back, you could have reaped a lot of benefit. There is a kind of a theory which goes around that if you would had known this is going to happen this like this, we could have planned it something else. But most of the time, this theory actually says that even if you would have known this, that it is going to happen in a different manner, you would have not made the benefit out there, because this is actually kind of a curse which comes with the ideas. Now, the genesis, what I want to discuss is what is the reason why we are seeing the internal function getting transformed by data science. If you go onto LinkedIn today, I would request you to search for one term called audit analytics as a job profile. And you just see the number of people worldwide you will find who are in the domain of audit analytics. That's something which actually tells you that this area has arrived. Let's try to understand that in the IA function and data science, what has evolved over a period of time. We'll also try to see that how the present IA leaders or internal leaders and future internal leaders can leverage the power of data science. Because, see, it's actually a very interesting tool which we have still not been able to use to the maximum capacity. It's something like we all hear that, right? That a human brain is used maybe maximum 5% of the capacity. Think of a situation where can we use all these tools and techniques which are there to the fullest extent? Is there a way possibility of doing with that? And there are some use cases I want to discuss with you, how people have done it. And then maybe in the end, we'll try to keep some time for Q&A. So let's start with the check-in. I'm sure you've heard about this statement from John F. Kennedy. It's a very famous statement. It says change is a law of life, and those who looks only at the past or the present are certain to miss the future. And that is something which is going to be the theme for today's discussion. What has worked in the past, what has working for you today is not going to be able to change the enterprise of future, where we are going to see a lot of changes which are happening. The enterprise of the futures are not the enterprise which we see today. They are going to be more dynamic, they are more data driven, and they are going to have a very different perspective on internet. There is not more of checking things like, okay, give me one report and all the thing. We have been hearing this term again and again, agile auditing. It has not picked up, but you will see something more than that happening in this domain. And I actually recall I recently visited one of the a large institution. This was a learning institution of one of the corporate in Gurgaon, and I found one very interesting thing. At the reception of this institution, they had a very big or large mural out there. And you know what did the mural say? It has a very one small statement which was mentioned out there, and that says change dot 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 before you are forced to change. And that is a very powerful statement. It's actually telling you that either we so moto we just go out there and try to do that, from our own will. We try to change, upgrade ourselves, or we are going to be forced out there. So now this genesis comes from one of the very interesting thing, and I'll not spend too much of time on that because I've been talking about this in most of my discussion, and this is a kind of a term I'm sure all of you have heard a lot. It's called the Industry 4.0, and this is something which is picking up across the world, because this is a kind of a theme of World Economic Forum, and World Economic Forum is telling everywhere that, hey, you know what, we have entered the Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution. We are into that. And to differentiate between this, they try to take on this from perspective of the first industrial revolution, which happened because of steam power, to moving to second industrial revolution, which happened because of electrical energy. I'm sure you have seen that very famous movie of Charlie Chaplin, where he actually gets into the machines and come out of that machine. And there are a lot of interesting things which happens with him. And that was actually a movie called Modern Times, which came in 1934. And that was the second industrial revolution, which was there for it. All of us today have actually experienced the third industrial revolution, because I am right now in some remote part of India, and I am actually getting I just checked it up before starting of the the thing. I was getting a kind of 160 Mbps speed, which is never heard of. And I'm actually in a remote part somewhere out there, and I'm actually being able to do that. That itself shows that we have actually had this computers, electronics, and telecommunication has actually changed a lot of world for all of us. And last but not least, we enter what we call as the fourth industrial revolution, where we see the enterprises getting to use a lot of different set of tools, technologies, and approaches. They are no more the same things where we have an assembly line or anything like that, but we are moving on to a kind of an era of cyber physical system, which we call it as a system which you cannot say it's machine or a computer, or it's like it's something. You take example of a Tesla car. Is it a car or is it computer? So there are everywhere in every part of the world, you will see these things like IoT devices. I'm sure if next time you are going to any of the machines in many of the offices you are having, it will be an IoT machines. The amount of cups of coffees you have made, they are actually getting this information real time basis. They know that this many coffees have been done, this much of raw material is being used, and we need to reservice this areas and all things. So that is the kind of world we are living it up. And that has a very big impact on two areas. First, finance as a whole. Now we see the organization finance, which used to be a kind of a back office for a very long time. Or, I remember I was in Infosys and we used to call it as a BEF, business enablement function, to something which is no more a business enablement function, but it's actually acting a multifunctional collaboration organization, which is looking at all of the data which is getting generated in the organization, taking decision not based on gut, but based on data, getting more and more technology enablement, and the last but not least, which is my favorite term, which we call as the culture of experimentation. And I have been talking about this at multiple forums. I think predominantly this is a kind of a problem with the term accountant. There is a big problem which happens, when a chartered accountant goes into a function, and today we see a lot of other professions are also coming into a function. There is a change out here. By default, we are taught one funny thing, which is called the conservatism, the concept of conservatism. Now, that looks very good when you are actually working on the accounting part of that. But if you see, that sometimes comes in our mindset. We say, "Nay, this is going to work like this only. This is the way things are going to work." We are losing out which other functions are actually trying. We call it the culture of experimentation, trial and error. Let's try some new things. It may work, it may not work, but if it works, it is actually going to change the way drastically what we are doing. So that is something which is very much getting driven at finance. And that's something also basically touch upon the internal functions also and how it does it. Let's try to see the impact of this all genesis, whatever I have been talking about there, on the internal and function. Now, this is something in a very interesting paper which was presented called Audit 4.0 in a business parties. And you see here, they came out with a new concept called the mirror world. And they are saying that there are going to be no more audits which are going to happen where you have an audit universe and you are actually trying to go to your risk control metrics, because your risk control metrics may be changing every year. It's no more the same thing which are there. And the kind of dependency which we have on ERP system is getting changed by microservices and other areas. And we are living in a very, very dynamic world. Now, in this kind of situation, there is a complete change from how we try to see our physical system as well as the mirror world, which is very different than the whole way it is being worked out. Now, there is a reason for that. This Audit 4.0 is getting driven because of one thing and one thing only. And you know what is that, friends? It's an explosion of data. It is not just data at the enterprise level. At the enterprise level, I'm sure all of you know that, yes, there is a lot of data which is get generated. The ERP systems of some of the large companies are, hitting out data. Like, I'm not sure if someone here from, SAP side, or you have Oracle, you have tables like CDPOS and all things, which are massive tables in any organizations. And they generate a huge amount of data. There are logs being generated. There are other areas being generated. Now, we have been actually dealing with this data in a very different way. We are still using a kind of, age-old way of dealing with this data, whereas this data is not just enterprise data, but external data also. Like, for example, when was the last time, I'm just, using a kind of a use case. When was the last time when you were doing your third party risk management of checking all your vendors, have you taken an API of Google and tried to see whether these addresses which are being given in the master data of all of them exist on Google Map or not? I'm just giving you an example here. Now, this is an external data, which is like, it's there, someone has to use it up for that. And there are other areas like data from data.gov.in or a lot of places which is getting generated. And we have already been told in audit, one of the fundamental things which has been told to us is, if you have two set of data, one is from your internal set, one is from external. We all know which data you are going to give more weightage on. External for sure. Now you have this data which is available, and it is on us whether we use it or not use it. Now, that is something which becomes very important for all of us to see and analyze it. So that's one of the kind of thing which I want to talk about. Second thing which is there, which is changing again, is the increasing value of using this data analytics or audit analytics, because the things are, you have a lot of new problem statement. Always we hear this term that, okay, is internal audit function adding value? I was actually attending some of the remotely some sessions of IIA, which is having an international conference, something in Amsterdam. And one of the topic which was there is, how do we show to the board we are adding value? Now, we have value addition for different functions is a kind of a critical function. Now, if there are some information which they already know, the business already know, then it's going to be, okay, what is the new thing which audit has brought it out? Risk is primarily the fundamental things which are there. But are we seeing the new risks which are there? Now, there are questions being raised by some of the big failures of SVP and all the thing which has happened is, what were the internal audit functions doing? Because that's a question which is get asked at a many point of time. So from that perspective, we had the second part, which is driving this revolution out here. And we call this an open source revolution. And when I say open source revolution, it is something like there is what we call, friends, today is a kind of a, plethora of tools and technology, which is democratizing the whole domain of data science. When I say democratizing, it means all these things were there, or the concept were there, but this concept were with some enterprise softwares which you have to pay 2-3 crore rupees to basically get it up there. Today, what you see on your screen right now are basically all the tools which get used, and at an enterprise level, at your function level, where you can work it out. And this is already happening, all the kind of details which you require to run a very efficient system to do data wrangling and play with that. It actually helps you to deal with a large volume of data. When I say large volume of data, there are, I'm sure all of you have heard about something called as Linux Foundation. If not, I would highly recommend you to go there. I am, that is the only, apart from Akshay Patra, that is the only foundation I actually support as a charity, because they do a lot of job. If you are using HTTPS, which is Hypertext Transmission Protocol, or secure, and any of this SSL and other things, all of them things are coming from Linux Foundation. So you see all of the thing. We have databases like, I'm not very sure if you have heard about something, a database called MongoDB. And MongoDB is an open source, very highly powerful database. And you can understand how powerful it is that the whole Aadhaar database is on that. Now, if Aadhaar can use it, why can't we use it up there? So the point is that there are a lot of tools which allows you to now deal with large volume of data, external data set, unstructured data. When I say unstructured data, I'm talking about PDF files, pictures, and all that thing which you can read and actually make sense out of that with tools like Nine. It's actually there. You can see on the screen. Nine is one of the business intelligence tool. You can actually use them instead of going and trying to, see some of the off-the-shelf tools. And we have machine learning, and I'll be talking about those areas also when we discuss about the tools and techniques, and real-time analysis, which means our reports are not going to be something. I would say, if you ask me, and I'm sure Rajiv will also agree, if you ask me, the future CAs or the chief audit executive, they should not be going to the audit committees with a PowerPoint presentation, but they should be going with dashboards which they can show on a real-time basis of what's happening across the organization. Because businesses are really very, acting in a manner where we have data, we have tools to deal with that, and it's on us how do we basically manage it up. And finally, we all know about the term, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So interactive visualizations allows us to see things in a very different perspective than what we can see. So these things are something which are actually giving us a way of changing that area. Now the question arises, how can the IA leaders leverage that power of data science? Now, here I would like to take some of the different elements of that which are there in the domain, because data science per se, if you see, there has been a lot of questions. First of all, it was called data analytics, and they used the word data science. Then they said, oh, there's no science in this one. Then there was a lot of debate and all the thing. I'll not go into all of the thing. You can read about that on the web. You will actually understand better on what is the debate which is going on. But having said that, it is actually a kind of a term which is very much used. Now, the way we see the relationship of internal function with data science is on this 5 domains which can be looked into. So data science can add as a automator for you. When I say automator, it is basically someone where you can actually help you quickly decide and implement some decisions of make or buy or anything is that. Basically, churn out the data and take decisions for you. Okay, this is what is the issue. So it's more of a very simple automator. It can act as a decider where it has a lot of context and with some kind of human touch into that, you can actually allow them to be a decider on decision making kind of things. It can act as a recommender, which will recommend you on multiple things. If you do this, it's like more of a simulation. Let's say if I do something on this area, it will churn out the data and recommend me so it would recommend on that area. So I can actually see that advices that what if analysis if I'd like to do that. It can also act as an illuminator, we call it a. Illuminator is nothing but it's like AI generated insights. Now, a human, this is one of the biggest problem with us. We have biases. This is one of the biggest challenge we see that. When I say biases, whether you agree or not, each of us are having our own biases in terms of work, in terms of areas of area concerns and all of things. Now, when biases are there, AI doesn't have that challenge. It can see the things in a very objective way and give you insight which you would have never thought can come and attack you. So those kind of areas are also something of important thing which AI, basically data science can do. And last but not least, the scenarios which are there, evaluator, if I do this, what is going to happen, or what I do this, how it is going to work it out. So these are the 5 relationships which we see out there. And if I have to actually explain it to you in more detail with examples, you can see these are the technology features which are being used in data science in the IA function extensively. Starting with the very basic pattern analysis, trying to see a pattern in things, trying to see some new insight which we have never heard about, and trying to see, oh, this is how it is happening. And if this pattern has happened in the past, don't you think the same pattern can happen in the future also? So we have a risk event, and before the risk event happened, you saw some pattern. Oh, maybe all the vendors stopped paying on time or something like that, and that's the reason it led to something called as a conversion into a bad debts or anything as such. So pattern analysis is one very interesting thing. Trying to see external data analysis, trying to get the data from other sources, and then trying to correlate that interesting areas. Machine learning, that's area which is of AI. And today we have tools like NIME and other things which has an add-on. And earlier all this concept of machine learning used to be a very cool concept and all thing. And today it is something mainstream. You can actually start doing it in your office with a laptop without going for a server and all things. And that power has come because of the open source technology which is there out there. Log mining, and this is something my favorite. Log mining is nothing but it is something like a process mining concept. What you're mining out there is, and I'll try to show you some examples of that one also, is you're trying to see when this event has happened. You try to take the logs because every event which is happening in your organization, you are having a log for that. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to analyze the logs, and based on the logs, you are trying to see whether the people are following the SOPs, what has been designed, not designed, all of that deviation coming there. Then we have something on the behavioral analysis where we try to see the behavior, how things are happening across different areas, different systems, and then try to see if there any connection between them. Interactive visualizations, which are nothing but, as I told you, there are a lot of tools like Power BI and all things, a lot of time. They're not data science tool, they are data visualization tools. So that gives you a kind of things in a different perspective altogether. Yes, they have some capability on that, but Click, Tableau, and all the things, they are more of data visualization tool, and it's important also. Why it is important is as there's a huge amount of data. If you go line item wise and all the thing, and you try to see that, it is not going to make any sense out of that. But if I actually put it in the right perspective, a storytelling of data, we'll be talking about that. It gives you a lot of better understanding of that. And then we have unstructured data, data which is in the form of Excel files, in the form of PDFs, in the form of emails, in the form of other things. Can we read the data? Can we bring it up that? And all these things will be only useful, friends, if we can actually use that on a real-time basis. If I not real-time, I would say near real-time basis, so that I know that I can make some sense out of that. So for each of them, let me try to take one example. Say that there are some of the tools which you can actually use it up. They're not some recommendations. This is something which are being used like 9, SQL, Python, or Power BI, Excel. And it all depends on where you are thinking. And again, I'm telling you, the tools are not important. The people who are using it. So in the word of Fast and the Furious, it is not the car, it is the driver who is important. So remember that. So let me start with the first part. The first part, which is very important, and I think will require a lot of things. See, if anyone asks me the two ends of Android, what is more important? I would say it is not the numbers, because most of the time as chartered accountant, we see the numbers, but the narrative is very important. We call that as storytelling with data. Storytelling with data is very much a very simple way. You have I remember I used to be working in Goldman Sachs, and we used to have all this. We used to write our reports. We used to have a training on how to write the reports. And whenever we used to say, oh, this is a risk, we have always been told to ask a question, so what? So I say, let's say, for example, I say, vendor masters has not been updated. So what? Now that is not a risk. What may happen because of that may be a risk. Or anyone can change the vendor master. So what? Now, here I have to actually give a complete statement which says, this is not happening. As a result, this may happen. And that as a result, when I'm putting it up, that is a very important statement which I have to do that. Now, storytelling with data is something like that only. Instead of saying that, okay, here is the trend which happens. These are the tickets which has come, and these are the tickets which were actually taken care of. Now, the question is, so what? What is the big deal? The thing which is going to be there is on the other side, what you see that I have less people. I'm not able to get all the tickets done. This many tickets were received, this many were processed, and that's why we require you to hire more FT. Some full-time employees have to be hired. Now, that is what we call storytelling of data. Now, imagine doing the same thing in our audit reports. Now, we have been seeing cases. I was talking to a lot of CAs, and they said sometimes there will be a point which will say the SOP was not followed. So you just take that to the audit committee, and the audit committee says, so what? Now, the point is that we need to bring out data will allow you to analyze that whole thing, what happened, what didn't happen. And I can actually go to my stakeholders and show them, hey, here is the exact thing what has happened. It should not be just like this has not been done or this policy was not followed. So what? Was that there is a kind of a deviation? Did it lead to some kind of risk? I need to go to that level. And there is a kind of thing, the management and stakeholders are asking this question to important functions again and again, that what is the value add we are bringing it up that? Because the amount of data which we have, it is very similar to something, I give an example. I'm just trying to give an analogy. Today, there was a time when as chartered accountant, we used to have this 44 AB audits and all the things, right? We still have it, I'm just telling you. And there was the kind of requirement that the government wanted that someone should give an attestation, check everything and all things. And did you notice something that AIS, the moment it came, we already see that AIS has all the data which you require, which many times the person who's attesting also never knew that, oh, this is something which is happening in that organization, because we used to, always depend on that person. Now, in that kind of situation, the value add has to be brought out. What is the value add we are bringing it up at? Now, the same question arises in terms of storytelling your data out here. So that is the first thing which is there. The second thing I want to talk about is an examples of the way it is being the leveraging of IA leaders are doing in terms of data sciences using the AI part of that. And when I say AI, the AI is a very big area altogether, because we know artificial intelligence is all about the ability of computers to think and learn like human. And there have been, we are seeing all this concept of generative AI. We are seeing a lot of books being written on that, how generative AI is going to transform the whole business. You have heard, Paytm, Mr. Vijay Shekhar talking about how it is going to have a lot of impact. Yes, we all know that. But if you see, I want to talk about from data science perspective only on the machine learning, because artificial intelligence is a very big area. And the area which actually impact, I would say, Android functions or the enterprise functions the most is machine learning. And machine learning is actually a very interesting area. And I'm 110% sure all of you have been hearing a lot about that also and using it in your organization, because the kind of insight it brings up. Yes, not always it will give you all the insight which you require, but it is a very kind of a third party insight which is there, which gives you a kind of a different perspective altogether than what we could have done. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, I told you it's like all about how speech to text. Like if you're using OK Google, Alexa, and all things, that is also artificial intelligence, but that is only translation. And I'm sure you have seen this feature in PowerPoint also. So I actually am whatever I'm trying to say right now, you can see on your screen, and that is also some kind of AI. It has actually been hearing my speech and all things and able to convert it into what you're seeing on the screen, the text out there, right? It may not be as accurate as that, but it is also a kind of AI which is coming into that. So we don't want to talk about that AI. What we are going to talk about, friends, here is only on the machine learning, and why this machine learning is important. I'll just quickly take you forward in that, because here it's actually changing the whole concept of how the programming used to happen. Earlier, if you see programming, and I'm sure many of you would have done that, even you were doing in Python or thing, the concept is very simple. You define the logic, you do the programming for that, you connect it to the data source, and the result comes. We are trying to change it comparatively out here and trying to see that instead of writing the logic, we just give the data set for training and let the machine learn the model and writes its own programming. And if you think programming by machines is something very, very tough, then friends, I think you are missing out a big point. The reason is very simple. I'm sure you have actually used macros in Excel since 2000. I think I remember using macros since 2008 or 9. I'm not very sure. I'm just forgetting it, but it was very interesting. I actually use it for the first time, the macro. And when you are actually doing macro, what happens is you just record the macro. And on the back end, it will just write the code in Visual Basic. Now that is simple. The programming is done by the machine. You just record the thing. So machines, since that, this concept is called as CASE, Computer Assisted Software Engineering. And it is not a new thing. It is there since 2009-10. Yes, it has become more advanced as we see today. And that is the reason once the data set is there, the learning model, or what we call it, the extracting the real value out of that, the programming can be done itself and you see the result. It's something like feature extraction. So there are multiple models which are there, and machine learning is going to be one of the key thing in every organization. Yes, rule-based exceptions are something which all data internet functions are using, but the kind of perspective which you can get here in a continuous basis is something which is uncomparable at all. Now that is something which we need to actually look into and understand, and it can help you in classification problems and trying to see predictive models, getting the data out there. So that is one area where we can go. We'll not go too much into this because here we want to discuss about different kind of tools and techniques which can be used out there. The third one is one of my favorite, Because if someone says to me that, hey, you know what, we are using we are following the SOPs, I just laugh at them. The reason is very simple. When we actually do the process mining, and I'm keeping my finger crossed, till now for more than some 30 to 40 organizations, when you do the process mining, never ever we have found that that what we call your uh, SOPs, which are there in the organizations, are called as happy path. Happy path means these are the right way whole things has to happen, and never ever we have found that whole of happy path being used. So it's something like, you can say, I'm just doing a kind of a case ID is getting created. I'm tagging every event, getting the timestamp when this event happened, and then I try to say that this should be my happy path. This is how the whole thing should work, and manage it out. And then when I try to visualize it, you know, it looks like something this. It's very different. It's not actually following the happy path at all. And when we did analysis of some of the purchase orders or the whole P2P cycles, or what is the SOP says, and how the process was actually designed, and how the process was actually working. It is very similar to what we see. We had an unfortunate incident in NCR. I hope you have remember, one of the school bus was coming from a wrong direction, and it actually hit a vehicle, and 6 people passed away. And that is exactly the thing. There have been a very nice highway which has been made. They have put all the controls, but nobody follows that. Now that's exactly what is coming out here. Close to 60% of the purchase orders are being modified. Now that actually tells about everything. And there are 200 instances of manual payment in SAP. A significant number of invoices are without POs, and invoice rate are posted without GR. Now this comes when you try to take the timestamp, do the process mining, and then you try to get the whole inference from the thing. And making the process mining chart is not tough. Analyzing it is very tough. That's something which you need to understand the business, understand why it is happening, and what is the RCA or the root cause for that purpose. So this is something which is very interesting, friends. Moving forward, there are some use cases which I thought I can actually show it to you, also actually discuss. So let me show you some of the use cases which are there right now, and very interestingly, can be leveraged by any organizations. Is something, the area which is always very easy for anyone to start with, is what we call it as your accounts payable function, the P2P process, because that is the area where you will always find something happening interesting in terms of what are the things which is working it out, what are the areas it is managing it up, and stuff like that. So that becomes very important in terms of identification of fraud and revenue leakages which are there. Third party risk management, trying to see which vendor should be preferred for that, what is the share of business of multiple vendors, and are we following the guidelines which has been issued by the organizations clearly. All of that things are something which will come into picture when we are trying to see that. Now here we also try to see areas of prediction of bad debts. Now this is very interesting. You may think, oh, this looks like something there. It's a very simple pattern analysis. Every vendor, customers of yours, before that person becomes a bad debts, you will see a kind of a trend which is happening out here. The trend may be he will stop paying on time. Second thing it will happen is his payment would be very, very, you can think of something like not very, at the same point of time, or missing out on the deadlines and all that kind of thing. Now that will give a very interesting thing. If I have the past performance data of what led to an event, I can actually analyze the pattern and try to see if the same patterns are coming again and again. If anywhere this pattern is repeated, that can give you a lot of interesting insight. Moving forward, we have something on spend analytics. Now, spend analytics is one area which is a domain in itself. I would say you should actually read a lot about this, because spend analytics is something which can add a lot of value, and you can see things from a very different perspective, friends, altogether. And that adds a lot of value in terms of getting your procurement side, putting machine learning model to see how we are spending the money, where it is going at multiple offices, multiple vendors, what price we are buying the same material code, and all that kind of things, and taking it forward. Then we have on GL code analysis, where you can actually analyze all of this GL code concept, which is there from a perspective of saying that whether the posting has happened to the right thing. This is something many people will agree. In ERP packages, we have this posting to the wrong GL code, a common problem. And here you have a concept of Stanford NLP, which is a natural language processing algorithm, and that can actually read all the narration of the past data. And based on they say that, oh, this time the posting should have happened to this one, but instead of this posting, you did it to a wrong posting out there. Similarly, we have contracts, identifying collusion of vendors. If you have Ariba systems and all that kind of thing, it can actually help you to basically manage it up in a more better places. In the banking domain, I hope you have seen the Basel III norms. It clearly says that AI should be used in operation risk management, and especially on non-performing assets or trade risk management perspective. And there have been already models being developed to basically predict non-performing assets based on the multiple data, external data set, internal data set, trends, patterns, and all things. And the last but not least, one of the key thing is that there are some areas in organization which value-wise looks very small because travel and entertainment expenditure. Now it doesn't make sense. You may do an audit one time in your audit universe. In 3 years, you may just audit that process once with some samples and all things. But can we develop a model which will basically continuously keep on reviewing it up and try to see if anything is wrong? Now, for that, I have one example which I thought I'll just show it to you. I know I have only 5 to 10 minutes more, but I'll try to actually take you through that. So these are some of the models which you see in front of you. So there is a very interesting thing of association rule mining. Okay. Now, association rule mining is nothing but a concept where I try to see that if a person has come to Mumbai for a travel from Bangalore, he would have this expenses. So it will basically associate. The person would have a flight ticket, he would have a hotel expenses, food expenses, conveyance, all of the things. If it sees a pattern which is different, it sees something not meeting it up, they'll say, oh, there's something wrong out here. So what you're seeing it on your screen is these are the things which are different kind of tests which you can do on terms of employee expenses and continuously keep on analyze all their expenses. And it is like a funnel approach. When I say funnel approach, you're putting all your transaction out there and you're trying to see if there is any kind of issues in terms of what we were actually managing it up. If there are issues, only those are the things which you try to basically analyze out there. So these are some of the use cases, friends, which we can actually look into and manage it up here. Now, one of the key things which I wanted to discuss here is this use cases. There are hundreds of more use cases which are there. Okay. But the main thing is that we need to understand, okay, how more use cases be created. Okay. And that is something which becomes very, very important, friends. See, this is just an example. There are maybe 300 plus use cases of all these kind of things which can happen. And it's on us how we basically leverage it up. Every organization is different. Every business, if you see a CPG business, it is different than a manufacturing business, vis-a-vis a pharma business, vis-a-vis you can say a kind of cement manufacturing. Every organization you will have some specific thing, and the Android functions, they do understand that, oh, this is a problem statement out here. So my thought process would be, it's on us as Android leaders to basically go and say, okay, in my businesses, these are the problem statement which are there, and try to see for yourself how we can actually leverage those areas. See for yourself, friends, that okay, what can be done in terms of analyzing it, or how can we put a continuous control monitoring systems out there? Because CCM, continuous control monitoring, it is actually kind of a way of a data science objective only. The whole concept of GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, was actually built on making that you have this data which is getting generated. Yes, there are multiple other perspectives which you require to have in every organization which is there. But is there a way that I can actually go with a kind of approach and I can have all this information readily available for me for decision making. Something like what we call it as, uh, you know, uh, take all the data. It's like, someone was telling me very interesting analogy. It's actually literally boiling the ocean. We used to say, don't boil the ocean, but today you have technology tools which are available to basically boil the ocean. And it doesn't cost a bomb also. A lot of people think, oh, this will cost a bomb. No, it's something which all this transformative technology, the slide I was showing you, all of these things are open source technology, friends. These are actually allowing you, this revolution is allowing us to play with this whole kind of things, which used to be, a kind of a bomb in a pocket at a point of time. So more importantly, it allows us to basically play with all of that things and take that forward. So having said that, these are some of the success stories or use cases which has been developed, but it's just on us, how you develop a use cases. And there are a lot of things which can be done in a fraction of time, and you can actually look into that. And having said that, the only parameter, I would say the most important parameter which we require to have to get a success in this domain of using data science in IA is to have a transformational mindset. I cannot, more importantly, talk about that in terms of what it is there. It is one of the most important thing. There is a kind of a saying, you need to, what has brought you here will not take you there. Is the same kind of thing. We have all that areas which are there. There are a lot of restrictions, there are a lot of issues. Enterprises are changing and all things. Having said that, we need to have this experimental or transformational mindset. We need to rewire ourselves in terms of how we deal or look into this whole perspective of using data science in IA functions. Come out from the old and try to see the new tools and technologies and concepts which are there, which are changing completely the whole old mindset which is there. And that transformational mindset may not be, there may be some challenges also. I'm not saying it is going to be without challenges. There is going to be a lot of, we call it as, I'm sure all of you have heard about this chaos theory. And there is going to be some chaos also, which will come all the way along with that. But having said that, it's actually something which will give you a very different perspective altogether when you try to use it. It will give you kind of a understanding of business. Maybe your first data science project may be not as successful as the other thing, but I'm sure all of you remember, or you would have got your notepad or books of, or your handwriting in class 1 2 somewhere kept out there. If you see today, you will like laugh at, oh, I was like that. Everyone has to learn and actually go for that. But we need to very clearly have this transformational mindset to be able to do that. So in summary, friends, I just wanted to give you my thought process, which I wanted to share was in data science in IA function. Yes, it's a very different ball game altogether. When we say data science in other organization functions, it is a different way. Marketing data science, they will use it in a different way. But when we are using data science for internal function, we need to kind of bring up the best of both the things. The functional knowledge is very important, not the technical knowledge. Please understand that. That is the kind of a key message I would like to give it to you. And second thing which I would like to bring out here is it's all requires us to basically see what is the problem statement we are trying to solve in the organization. What are the areas which are important, which are the things we can look into. And then we can actually also have the understanding from the transformational mindset and take that forward and manage it extensively. So those are kind of areas which I thought I will share with you, friends. Thanks very much for patience hearing, and thanks to Hemraj for coordinating that. So I think Hemraj, back to you. Rajiv is there; he will take it forward from there.
Thank you, Anand sir, for such a nice session covering this critical and important topic in detail. Before you wind up, just one question to you, and then I
Yes,
can move to Rajiv sir, for his session. The role of internal auditor and internal team is day by day increasing. The responsibility, the expectation of the management also are increasing. They are huge. Uh, How do you think, the data science will evolve over the future? So, for example, if it about say like 5 years, 10 years time, how it will evolve. If you can provide some insights into that, it will be really great.
Great. This is good question, Hemang. So my thought process is you are right. See, as as leaders like Rajiv, I see them. I'm very inspired by them because they really have been using a lot of things. And what I see is like it's a kind of an evolving area, as you rightly said. In future, I will not see any person in internet function. This is something like the Excel knowledge which we have right now for all the people. You will see that this knowledge is something which will be taken for granted, that everyone should have this kind of knowledge, a little bit of thing. And if you're not having it, it is, you can't survive it out there. And kudos to our institute also. I think the new scheme of things, I have seen some of the changes. They have put Python and R as one of the kind of a thing, that at least the introduction to that is given to the students and all thing, and that's a great thing. But having said that, I'm not very I would say concerned about our new generation of CAs who are coming into the profession. I'm more concerned about our existing thing. We need to re-skill and upskill ourselves and take that forward. I would say that is my thought process. But yes, you will see a lot of things. There's things will become easy. And one last thing I would like to say, Hemraj sir, is you will see a kind of explosion of low code, no code concept. LOCODE, low code and no code, which means that a person who is not an expert in technology also would be able to use technology. Like I'm sure a lot of people are using Chat GPT. They didn't know about prompt engineering and all things, but they are able to use it. And you will see that kind of things happening also a lot right now in times to come. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jangid, for answering this question. Friends, now I move to this second session or to second speaker. Let me introduce Mr. Rajiv Gupta. Mr. Rajiv Gupta is an author, speaker, and a leader in governance and risk management. He is currently working as Vice President and Group Head Internal Audits in e-commerce industry. Prior to this, he has associated with Diageo India, Coca-Cola, and PwC. He is a chartered accountant, certified fraud examiner, certified information system auditor, and holds diploma in information system audits. He is also author of Technical Guide on Internal Audit of Beverages Industry, which was published by ICI. He is a regular guest speaker with ICI, ISACA, Association of Certified Fraud Examiner, and other professional bodies. He has spoken on various topics, which includes fraud prevention, fraud risk assessment, deep dive intelligence, financial statement frauds at various national and international conferences. With this small introduction, now I request our learned speaker, Mr. Rajiv Gupta, to please start this session. Over to you, Mr. Rajiv, sir.
Thank you, Hemraji. I will start sharing my screen. Let me know if when you see that. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will continue, where from where Anand took a pause. So he has shared all the the technical aspects and some of those use cases as well. What I'm going to cover are few things which will complement. One is why we need to talk about data science. Yeah, anyways, we are chartered accountant. We know accounting very well. We know financial management very well. We know costing very well, taxation very well. So why data science? Yeah, so that's something. First thing I will talk about. Second, how I feel that data science is going to benefit internal audit function. Third is some of the key components of data science I will cover. Then some of the tools and techniques, and these are basically the methodologies which I will cover. Few simple ones. Couple of case studies, real life use cases I will cover. Then everything is not fancy. Everything is not easy to implement. For example, if you get super excited that yes, this is very useful, very helpful, so tomorrow itself let's get started. I will share some of the practical challenges in that, so that you are not taken by surprise later on. And in case you still feel excited that yes, we need to go that route, I will also share some of the steps I learned harder way, which needs to be taken when you start your journey of bringing data science in your function. Hemraji, can you just check? Can you see my highlighting, for example, when I'm doing? You can see,
yes,
right?
I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Okay, so why data science? Yeah. See, data science is something which which enables you to solve the new world problems. Yeah. When I say new world problem, the problem which are coming because of the way organizations are now operating. For example, if you talk about the traditional organizations, many of them are now running on ERPs. If you talk about new age organizations, especially the e-commerce ones, they are having millions and millions of transactions, huge data set, and hence there is the data which you need to audit as as internal auditor or even statutory auditor. It is huge. The capacity of the of Excel and others are very inadequate for that. If you're going to audit the new world organization, so that is one challenge which many of us have started facing. Second, limited analytic capabilities. Now I know some of us as chartered accountants, we are big fan of Excel, but the challenge is, while Excel within that uh, transactional record limitation, whatever it has, whatever data you can import into Excel, you have limitation that there also. What all you can do with it? If you have to fully exploit the capability of Excel, you have to be an amazing expert, which is very time consuming, and it's not that easy to become to really exploit the capabilities of Excel. So that's second thing, which currently challenges us. Thirdly is the way we operate today is more of a reactive approach to risk management. Some problem happens in the organization. Either we get to know through the management, or we get to know through our audit, which happens maybe once a year, once in 2 years, maybe once in 3 years, depending upon the risk assessment we are doing. And then we get to know, oh, for last 3 years, this problem was happening. For last 2 years, this problem was happening. So pretty much reactive approach. And hence, the implementation of controls to fix that problem, that gets delayed. Yeah. And for that period of 2, 3, 4 years, the problem continues, and whatever loss was happening, that also continues. Yeah. There are many more reasons, but for the sake of this discussion, I kept it only to 3 so that it's easy to understand. But if you start preparing the list, if you Google it, there are many more. So then how data science is going to help you? Number one, data science is helping the audit functions, whosoever have implemented data science, in number one, enhancing the risk assessment approach. Yeah, as I said, if you implement data analysis and advanced data analysis, which one of the option includes predictive analytics, and there are a few more. I will see if we get time, I'll talk about that. That gives you an opportunity to even predict what can go wrong. Many organizations are using it, especially for their operations, and audit functions have also started using it to a limited extent. So using advanced data analysis and continuous assurance, you can do better risk assessment, because with the help of continuous assurance, if not on real-time basis, maybe on daily, weekly, or fortnightly basis, you can get to know which area, which process in your organization is having the problem. So instead of waiting for the audit to happen after 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, if you implement advanced analytics, you can get almost real-time analytics. And this is not something theoretical. This is something which is now becoming very much practical. I have implemented last couple of organizations I work for, and there are a few other organizations which are implementing that. So that this is one big way where data science is helping the audit function. Second is absolutely simple, no rocket science, improved efficiency. Why efficiency? Because whatever otherwise we were doing in Excel, if you implement various tools, one of the various tools, for example, for data analysis, you have Python, SAS, R, this 9, many more tools are available. So whatever you are otherwise doing in Excel repeatedly, because if you are auditing, say, 50 plants or 50 companies or 50 sites, you are doing the same analysis in Excel every time. But if you automate, if you use the power of data science, you can automate those repetitive analysis, and hence you can become much more efficient that way and effective, because so far we were doing sample testing, maybe 25, maybe 40, maybe 100, but not more than that. But think about the new age organizations, say e-commerce companies, maybe Swiggy, Zomato, Flipkart, Amazon of the world, who are processing tens of lakhs of invoices every month. Yeah, tens of lakhs of invoices every month. So in a year, crores of number of invoices they are raising. If you are testing 100 in a year, how effective you're going to be. You need something by which you cover potentially the entire universe, yeah, without spending years only for doing the vouching part. So with the power of data science, you can actually enable yourself to scan through all the data and pick up the really red flags ones, which essentially you can pick for your 50, 100, whatever samples you want to test. So that way you can become much more effective. Okay, and in the meantime, Hemraji, one request to you. In case participant asks you question in between, please stop me, and I would be happy to take the question then and there itself, because it may be related to the concept I'm talking about. So it's better I cover that question that time itself. Yeah. So my request to all the ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are not clear, please ask the question then and there itself, rather than waiting for the end. Yeah. Another advantage, yeah, which will come to which we as auditors can utilize is early detection of frauds and irregularities. And I will talk about maybe one or two real life case study on that. And finally, you will be making data-driven decision making. I will give you an example. See, suppose today when you are doing your annual risk assessment, there will be many areas where you will be making some guesstimates, yeah, based on your past understanding of that process or your past past evaluation. So whether the risk in a particular process is on a scale of 1 to 5, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Now, whether you want to, if it is a high risk area, whether you want to give 4 or 5. So it's not, you cannot define very, very clearly how each and every rating parameter will be evaluated. So many times in risk assessment process, to some extent, judgment is involved. Not to a great extent, judgment is involved. But if you deploy a good number of analytics, advanced analytics into your risk assessment process, then to a great extent, you can make it data driven. For example, say if you're in your payable process, your data analysis says we consistently made early payments to our vendors every month. Say 10 crore of early payments were made every month. Now it means there is a working capital blockage you are making by making early payment. Or your analytics says that consistently MSME vendors were paid beyond 45 days. Now that's a non-compliance to MSME Act. Now, if we are consistently doing that and you know the numbers, it will be very easy for you to rate your accounts payable process, whether it's a high risk process, a medium risk process, or a low risk process, because you have the exact numbers. You know whether these problems are happening consistently or this problem is ad hoc. Oh, once in a year ho gaya, gadbad ho gaya, it's okay. So the advantage is you will be able to make data-driven decisions. Yeah, if you have advanced analytics built into your audit process. Yeah. So with that, so I talked about the why, I talked about the benefits. Now I'm moving to the key components. That if you say, okay, Rajiv, we'll implement data science. But then how data science is different from data analysis? Are you just using the fancy word, right? Instead of data analysis, you are saying data science. See, data science is much more comprehensive, term, which includes many more things. It includes a great amount of statistics also. It includes great amount of mathematics. It includes great amount of AI and machine learning algorithms, and it includes visualization as well. That's on the one side. Secondly, it includes many more steps as compared to what we simply do as part of data analysis. So if you look at this slide, number one, which we anyways do, which is data collection and extraction. Anyways, you do today as part of your, whether you do in Excel or whatever. Then data pre-processing and cleaning. Now this becomes very, very important when you are processing huge data set, right? Because see what happens when you have a big data set, it may have many columns, maybe 50, 100, 150 columns, especially, if your organization is running on SAP or other systems which are being used by e-commerce companies. Many times when you take this data, give me 1 second, somebody is calling again and again. So what happens when you download the data? Some of the data sets, some of the cells, the data is missing in that. Yeah. So one option you have is whatever data you got, you start analyzing like that. But what we do in data science, we study the data first. We study each and every column of data, and we do pre-processing. Pre-processing means before we actually start doing any analysis, we do some processing of it, which includes a lot of steps. One is the cleaning. How we clean? Wherever the data set, the columns have missing data, there are different ways in which we take care of it. One simplest way is delete it. Yeah, either you delete the entire column or you delete the entire row. But a decision has to be taken. If you delete the entire column, will it make sense to analyze the remaining part of data? And if you delete a row, then if you have, say, crores of records, if you delete only one, you may decide that doesn't make any difference. So let me delete the row. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying you will do it. You have to decide based on what data you're analyzing. So this is one example, only one example of the cleaning part. Pre-processing also includes, now suppose, ladies and gentlemen, you are analyzing the salary data of a company. Now it will have labors also. It will have the salary of CEO also. Yeah. Now, suppose the salary of labor is in the range of 20,000 rupees per month, and the CEO salary is, say, suppose 20 crore. Now, if you want to take the average of it, of one company salary versus another company where they don't have labor, they have only office staff because they are into services. So the lowest salary ranges from maybe 2 lakh per annum. And the CEO salary, it's suppose it's like a startup. So maybe the CEO salary is 5 crore. Yeah. Now what will happen that when you calculate the average of first company will come out to be much higher. If there are many VPs who are having, crores of rupees of salary versus a second company where the average would be much more representative, because in case of second company, the average will come into lakhs, say whatever, maybe say 5 lakh, the average comes. And in case of first company, the average may come, say, for example, 1 lakh only, but it is not the right representation for company A. For company B, it is the right representation. For company A, it may not be the right representation, that on an average, every employee is getting 1 lakh, which includes labor. Yeah. So it gets skewed. So there, a decision has to be taken that the type of analysis which we are doing, does it make sense to remove the CEO cell? I'm not saying every time we'll do it. It depends what analysis you are trying to do. What is the purpose of that analysis? So these decisions, ladies and gentlemen, are taken by data scientists before they even start analyzing the data. We don't do this. In standard analysis, many times we don't, even worry about that. The third step which comes is exploratory data analysis, which we call as EDA, very, very popular term. It is basically understanding the data. So in step number 2, we cleaned the data. In step 3, we understand the data. Where we calculate, we do a lot of things. We prepare bar charts, flow chart, not flow chart, bar chart, line chart. We calculate, average, mean, median, mode. We calculate standard deviation, variances, and so on to understand the data better. And then, Abibi, till now, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't started doing the real analysis. The real analysis, let me just rub it. Okay, anyways, so the real analysis, ladies and gentlemen, comes in step number 4, which is statistical modeling and analysis. Here we use the models. Models means formula. So in simple language, you can take it as formulas. So here we start using the formulas, and based on that formulas, we start doing our analysis. It may be predictive analysis. And there are 4 types of analysis which we actually do. Descriptive analysis, diagnostic analysis, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. So just for your reference, you can note down these 4 words. These are very, very important when you start in your journey, because you have to firstly decide why you need to perform analysis on this particular data. Are you looking to solve the problem? If you're looking to solve the problem, then you will perform prescriptive analytics. If you want to understand hua kya, what happened, what went wrong, that is where you perform descriptive analytics. And similarly, you have 2 more. Yeah. So in step 4 and 5 is basically where we are performing the analytics part. Step 6, I believe many of you may be doing already, which is data visualization, which is basically creating the visuals, dashboards. Dashboarding, I know, has become very common now. And you may be using either Tableau, maybe Power BI, or various tools. Even Excel has, some good capabilities to create visuals. So it starts with data collection, and I'm sure many of you would be doing step number 1, step number 4 and 5 in the easier format, and step number 6 for sure. Yeah. So so this is in a layman language. This is end-to-end journey of what we do when we use advanced analytics, and we use the entire gamut of tools and techniques which are available with the data scientists. Yeah. With that, I will move to the next part, which is key techniques. Yeah. Because that was a simple process. Within that process, how we go about it. Yeah. What are various tools and techniques we actually use. So I will super simplify it. We'll discuss in very simple manner some of the tools and techniques which we use. And I will talk about the predictive analytics. Yeah. Descriptive analytics, to some extent, I'm sure we all being chartered accountants, we must be doing. Let me talk about the predictive analytics, and that is where we have two buckets. One is supervised learning, and another is unsupervised learning. Yeah. So in layman language, what's the difference between the two? Supervised ka ye matlab nahi hai there is a manager who's supervising it. Supervised means that let me see if I can get a whiteboard. Give me a second. I'll just see if I get a whiteboard. Himraji, can you see my whiteboard now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will shift to presentation. Can you see my presentation also now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it means the shift is happening properly. Okay, great. So let me quickly share with you the difference between supervised and guys, please excuse me for my amazing handwriting. I should have actually become a doctor, but ठीक है. हाँ जी. So supervised learning means we have the history of that product or that thing, and we know which family it belongs to. For example, in case of supervised learning, we feed, say, we give data to the machine learning algorithm and we tell कि आपका जो apple है वो ऐसा दिखता है, and we feed different type of apples into the algorithm, and we tell the algorithm that all these are example of apple, and then we feed different types of different shapes, different colors, different types of oranges, and we tell the algorithm, machine learning algo, we tell it, we inform that these are different examples of oranges. Yeah. Similarly, we feed them different height, size, weight of human beings also. Yeah. Koi mota, koi patla, koi lamba, koi chota, and we tell them these are, for example, maybe human or man. Similarly, we will feed data of woman and so on. Yeah. So we label. So the most important word is label. Yeah. We label what data we are feeding to you. When we label, now we have fed the historical data into the model, historical. Now this model is then used for prediction, prediction kalo, yeah, forecast, whatever. Yeah. So tomorrow, say all these apples which we had shown, apples and oranges and other fruits, they were from India. Yeah. Now we bring up an apple from say Singapore, and we feed that picture, for example, into our machine learning algorithm, and we ask that what is this? Now our algorithm is supposed to tell that this is an apple. It is possible, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and then so this is called supervised learning. Why supervised? It's not because someone is supervising it. Supervised because it is labeled. We taught the model that इसको ये बोलते हैं, इसका ये नाम है. Yeah, and also it is possible that when I fed the apple, say now from Australia, it was very different from the training apples, training data which I had earlier fed. So it may say this is a pomegranate. So then it is possible in machine learning. Yeah? It is absolutely possible. And that is why there are different parameters we check. कि model का accuracy कितना है, model का F1 score कितना है. Those are technical parts. It's not relevant for today's discussion. But the point is, it is possible that the machine learning algorithm can give wrong, response. And depending upon the industry, from industry for which you are analyzing, there are 3 acceptable ranges of accuracy. Let's not go into technical term. 3 acceptable ranges of, okay, in layman language, let's use the word accurate, because in data science, accuracy has one specific meaning. Yeah. So I'm using the word accuracy in layman language. So there are three very common accuracy levels which are used in data science. First level is 90%, second is 95%, third is 99%. Yeah. More often than not, 99% is used where human life is involved. Human life is involved. For example, in medical science, whenever a new medicine is tested, it is tested for at least 99%. If they go beyond, they go 99.5, 99.9. So anything which relates to human life, they test for 99% plus accuracy. Other business related data depending upon how critical it is for the business. ऐसा तो नहीं कि business बंद हो जाएगा. If the risk is कि business बंद हो जाएगा, then they may use 95% to 99% accuracy. Otherwise, in general, 90% to 95% is something which is used. Now you may say, "Arey, why, Rajiv? Why not every time we use 99%? It is always better." The answer is no, because the cost of training the model, because higher the accuracy which we need, and again, accuracy I'm using in the simple language, not in the data science language. Higher the accuracy we want, the more costly it is. Costly doesn't mean only money. Costly in data science means a lot of things, including the data, the quantum of data which is required. And it is not possible to get a huge amount of data for many of the processes or for many of the industry. Yeah. So more often than not, in audit related analytics, we will end anywhere between 90 to 95%. It's very difficult to go to the extreme part. Yeah. But this is the supervised learning. Yeah. And let me come to my presentation on the supervised learning, and later I will talk about the unsupervised. Yeah. So in case of supervised learning, two are very, very common. One is regression analysis. Now, some of you who would have read statistics and all those, you may remember regression kuch to padha tha, maybe college mein, maybe CA mein sometime. But regression analysis is very, very important in the when you start using data science in the internal audit function. Very simple and very, very useful. Yeah. What regression analysis says, if I talk in mathematics term, अब आपको बहुत easily याद आ जाएगा. Y is equal to A plus BX. Yeah. And if you remember, A was constant and B was slope. Yeah. I'm sure since all of you are chartered accountant, I'm sure ये दोनों concept आपको याद आ रहे होंगे कि कुछ तो पढ़े थे. Slope we learned somewhere and constant we learned somewhere. I will make your life easy. Constant is like a fixed cost. Yeah. Let me give you one very example. And on this chart, I will put ये जहां पर जो touch point है, ये line का, this is that A, this is that constant, and जो slope है line की, this slope. Yeah. Let me draw like that. ये जो slope दिख रही है आपको line की, this slope, this is B. Yeah. ये B है, इसकी जो slope है, A is the constant. Now you may say, अरे तो वो technical हो गया. No, it's not technical. They have made it technical, but it's very easy. So let me share. Now suppose if we say that let's replace this. Y की जगह let's say total cost. Total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. ये तो बहुत easy है हमारे लिए, right? Now let's presume total cost is Y. Fixed cost is fixed, and that is A. Variable cost is the cost we incur when we produce something. Now let's presume the company's factory is shut down. Nothing is being produced. So then total cost will be only fixed cost. Let's suppose it is 100 rupees and variable cost will be 0. So total cost is 100, and this is where it is. A 100. ये जो point है A, this is 100. Which means even if you don't produce anything, the total cost is going to be 100, constant. Yeah, that is what it is. Now, but the company starts, producing, and we get to know that the variable cost, unit variable cost is 50 rupees. So now total cost of say producing 10 units is equal to fixed cost will be 100 plus variable cost is कितना बोला था मैंने 50, right? 50 into 10 units, which is total will be 600. Yeah. So that point will be somewhere here. Let me make it bigger so that you can see. Yeah. So that's how the points will be built. आप production बढ़ाते जाओ, everything will fall on this line. Everything will fall on this line. Now you may say, but Rajiv, why we are learning this? We learned somewhere, maybe in college, maybe in CA Inter, we don't remember. Why we are talking about it? We are talking about it because it is very important in data science when you start working with business and solving the problem. Because abhi to, for the sake, since I'm discussing this for the first time with you, I took a very simple example of a plus bx. Real में ऐसा नहीं होता है. Real में, let me go back to my whiteboard. In the real life, when you start solving the problem, it is y is equal to a plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2 plus infinity. Not infinity, maybe 50 tak jayega, या maybe 30 tak jayega. Yeah, but I didn't want to, shock you in the first discussion itself. So your job is to come up with this formula. ये formula है क्या? You have to define it. Why you have to define it? Because once you define this formula, once you come up with formula कि a की क्या value है, b1 की क्या value है, b2 की क्या value, and so on, you can calculate y. Your job is to calculate y. Yeah. So if we take a simple example, y is equal to a plus bx, and ladies and gentlemen, please put on chat box. If it is becoming too technical, I will remove this part and I will go to lesser technical part. Yeah. I don't want to make you, pata laga behosh ho gaye. Yeah. So I don't want to do that. So Himra ji, अगर ऐसा कमेंट आता है कि अरे it's too technical, I will stop this part and I will move to the next part. Yeah. आप मेरे को बताना. ठीक है जी. So let's take simple example, y is equal to a plus bx, और ये हमने total cost वाला example लिया था. तो ये how it will help you the moment you tell management कि a इसमें आपका 100 है और b 50 है, अब बताओ क्या चाहिए आपको. तो मैनेजमेंट आपको बोलता है कि सर फिर बताइए मेरा y कितना होगा अगर मैं 5000 यूनिट बनाना चाहता हूं. तो आप you will say a तो constant है, it will remain 100, since b was 50, multiply by 5000 यूनिट. Yeah. So this will be 100 plus कितना 25 और 40, ठीक है ना, 2.5 लाख. तो 2,50,000 100 रुपए. Now this is very simple example of what your job will be. Very simple example, and it is possible that you are doing this today in Excel, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to connect it what you are doing today in Excel. You can do it because this is a simple example, but in data science, in the real world problem, this is the type of complex formula you have to define, where you have to define the value of a, b1, b2, b3, b4, maybe b100, and then you have to ask management, अब बताओ कि आपको ये कितने पे में से चाहते हो निकालूं, 5,000 पे निकालूं, 10,000 पे निकालूं, कितने पे. Yeah, and that's how you will tell management that this is how it will be. Now let me give you an example कि बट राजीव ये कहां पर यूज होगा. चलिए एक और एग्जांपल भी देते हैं इसका, कि कोई एक रियल वर्ल्ड एग्जांपल बताओ इसको यूज कहां करें. चलिए देख लेते हैं. सपोज आप मैनेजमेंट बोलती है कि मैं ये जानना चाहता हूं, प्लीज सिंस यू आर डेटा साइंटिस्ट, कैन यू हेल्प मी you are a data scientist, can you help me predict my sales? So y क्या हो गया, जो भी आपको predict करना है, whatever you have to predict is on the left side. y जो अल्फाबेट y है उसको y समझ लो. So management wants to know आपका future sales कितना होगा if they have a fixed cost of a, which is say 100, and they decide that they want to do advertising cost, ADV, advertising cost of 50 rupees, 50 rupees, okay, per ad. Yeah, 50 रुपए की ad वो चलाना चाहते हैं, and they want to do all 365 days, one ad every day. So B1 is 50 and X1 they are telling you 365 plus. अच्छा ये ad हो गया आपका Insta पे. They are saying we will incur this, we want to do this much ad on Insta. TV ad we want to spend this much, TV ad this spend, plus we want to spend XYZ amount on my sales team, plus I want to spend y this amount on discount coupons. When you buy something on Swiggy, Zomato, and all those, you get discount vouchers, those coupons which get applied. So company said, I want to spend this much on this. So, and keep adding. If I do this, all this expense I do, can you predict how much will be my sales? Now you will say, अरे बाबा, वो टीवी पे उसने ऐड कितनी चलाई, इंस्टा पे कितने का ऐड चलाया, सेल्स टीम कितना लगाया, उसके बेसिस पे हाउ आई विल बी एबल टू टेल कि कितना सेल्स होगा. You will be able to tell based on, not because you have become a baba, not because you have become an antaryami, but because if you come to this side, because you had fed historical data into the system. What historical data you had fed into the system? You have already informed the system कि last year company ने इतना खर्चा किया था fixed cost पे, इतना खर्चा किया एडवर्टाइजिंग कॉस्ट, इतना खर्चा किया टीवी एडवर्टाइजिंग कॉस्ट, इतना खर्चा किया सेल्स टीम दिस, तो इतना सेल हुआ. उसके एक साल पहले ये सारे खर्चे इतने इतने किए तो इतना माल बिका, ये सारे खर्चे इतने इतने किए तो इतना माल बिका. वो सारा का सारा हिस्टोरिकल डेटा यू हैव ऑलरेडी फेड इनटू द सिस्टम एज पार्ट ऑफ द सुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग. सो सिस्टम नोज कि अगर ये सारे कॉम्बिनेशंस हैं, दिस प्लस दिस प्लस दिस, तो आपने कितना माल बेचा. Using all that data point, system gives you an estimate. Now you may say, but future can be different, and that is why, as I said, there are different measures of accuracy. Accuracy में science, data science में अलग meaning होता है, तो आप उसको गलत ना समझना. इसमें बड़े सारे measures होते हैं, accuracy, F1 score, sensitivity, बहुत कुछ होता है. 5-6 अलग-अलग measures होते हैं which we calculate. और तो हम management को we tell कि हमारे हिसाब से इतना आपका सेल होगा अगले साल अगर आप ये खर्चा करते हो विद दिस लेवल ऑफ एक्यूरेसी. तो हम बता देते हैं कि हमारी कुछ एक प्रिजम्पशंस हैं, उस प्रिजम्पशन के हिसाब से होगा. तो दिस इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ सुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग. हेमराज जी, कोई कंफ्यूजन कहीं पे कोई क्वेश्चन आया हो तो बता दीजिए, नहीं तो विल मूव.
नो सर, प्लीज गो अहेड.
ओके, सब क्लियर है, वेरी गुड. सेकेंड यूज करते हैं हम डेटा साइंस में, और ऑडिटर्स के बहुत काम आता है, ऑडिटर्स के सबके काम आएगा, क्लासिफिकेशन मॉडल. Classification, very easy, very useful, and you can start using it tomorrow itself. इसके लिए you don't need advanced tool. You need advanced tool only when you have huge data set. Otherwise, you can use it in Excel itself. What classification model basically says, and very simple example, let me share. Very simple example. Loan. हेमराज जी को लोन दें या ना दें, दिस इज क्लासिफिकेशन. ठीक है ना. बेस्ट एग्जांपल, सो लेट मी जस्ट स्टॉप हियर. बेस्ट एग्जांपल हो सकता है few years ago, suppose you are going to State Bank of India, PNB and all those, आपने वो अपने फाइनेंशियल सबमिट किए. So somebody may be reviewing all those financials manually, and based on his manual review and his experience, they are taking a call कि हेमराज जी को लोन नहीं देना चाहिए या देना चाहिए. Today, all that data, not of Hemraji, suppose this is his first loan. Suppose they have fed all the data which says, let me give you an example, profession. So they have a column of profession. Okay. तो एक है कि हमने एक लोन दिया था राजीव गुप्ता को, he is a chartered accountant. ठीक है. एक्सपीरियंस, हेमराज जी आपको कितने साल का एक्सपीरियंस है?
15 years सर.
15. तो सपोज राजीव को 16 years का एक्सपीरियंस है. और क्या बोलेंगे, और सपोज एरिया है, तो एरिया था कि ये बेंगलोर में रहते हैं, एंड देयर आर अदर कॉलम्स. इस तरह से नाउ लेट मी टेक वन मोर रिकॉर्ड दैट विल बी इवन इजी. सपोज एक अनदर पर्सन है, और ये डेटा किसका अवेलेबल है? जिन लोगों ने उस बैंक से पहले लोन ले रखा है. अनदर पर्सन है एबीसी, वो है डॉक्टर. ओके. और उनको सपोज मे बी उनको 15 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है, और वो भी सपोज बेंगलोर रहते हैं. ठीक है. अब लेट्स प्रिज्यूम दीज टू डेटा पॉइंट्स आर ओनली देयर, बट ऐसा होता नहीं है. मशीन लर्निंग एल्गोरिथम विल नॉट गिव यू गुड outcome. It's not reliable if it's such a small data, but let's take it simplicity. Now the bank is asking you कि since you are an expert, आप बताइए क्या करें. हेमराज जी have come asking for a loan. So his data we will feed into this model. हम इस मॉडल को बोलेंगे कि हेमराज जी एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हैं, उनको एक्सपीरियंस 15 साल का है और वो बैंगलोर में रहते हैं। अच्छा, अब राजीव और डॉक्टर साहब का डेटा आगे कंप्लीट करते हैं। आगे ये बताया गया था कि डिफॉल्टर, तो पता लगा राजीव बिकेम अ डिफॉल्टर, उसने एंड में नॉट एंड में, कुछ साल के बाद ईएमआई देना ही बंद कर दिया, और जो एबीसी है वो डिफॉल्टर नहीं है। ठीक है, अब मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल क्या करेगा, इट विल से ओके हेमराज जी की जो प्रोफाइल है इट इज मैचिंग विद होम, क्लोजेस्ट मैच कौन है, तो द मॉडल विल से द क्लोजेस्ट मैच इज राजीव गुप्ता, और काफी कुछ सिमिलर था, सीए थे, एक्सपीरियंस सिमिलर था, बैंगलोर रहते हैं, तो नो उसका भी फर्क पड़ता है। एंड में हुआ क्या, इस आदमी ने डिफॉल्ट कर दिया, तो इट मींस, और मैं मान के चल रहा हूं बाकी सारी पैरामीटर्स भी सिमिलर हैं, सो इट्स नॉट ओनली दीज 3 पैरामीटर्स इट डिसाइड्स, लेट्स प्रिज्यूम most of the parameters were similar between the existing customer and the new customer who is Mr. Hemaraj. Now, it is possible that the algorithm will say, don't give loan to Mr. Hemaraj. Yeah, this is classification. Classification means you give yes or no. Yeah, उसमें भी 2 ऑप्शन होते हैं, yes or no, और या तो रेटिंग दे दो। सो डोंट और डोंट डू और डू गिव, तो ये हो गया येस और नो, बाइनरी, ये हो गया बाइनरी। ऐसे ही क्लासिफिकेशन एक दूसरा भी हो सकता है जहां पर हमें बोलना है कि 3 के स्केल पे बताओ, वेदर इट इज गुड और वेदर इट इज ओके और वेदर इट इज बैड, और 5 का स्केल भी हो सकता है। बेसिकली यू आर क्लासिफाइंग, यू आर नॉट क्वांटिफाइंग, आप वैल्यू टर्म्स में नहीं बोल रहे हो। सो लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वैल्यू टर्म्स और न्यूमेरिक टर्म्स, इट इज रिग्रेशन, आपको तो वहां पर रिग्रेशन यूज करना है। व्हेन इट इज क्लासिफिकेशन बिटवीन प्रीडिटरमिन्ड क्लासेस व्हिच यू हैव सेट, यहां पर क्लासेस, प्रीडिटरमिन्ड क्लासेस क्या है, डोंट या डू, गुड ओके बैड, यस नो, प्रीडिटरमिन्ड क्लासेस। तो अगर आपको इस तरह के आंसर देना है तो क्लासिफिकेशन मॉडल यूज करते हैं, अदरवाइज जहां पर आपको नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स और या रुपीज वैल्यू में टर्म में बात करनी है, there you use regression model. Yeah, very easy, आप कल जाके एक्सेल में यूज कर सकते हैं if your data set is small, but you will be amazed so easy these 2 models are to use. आपको कोई एडवांस टूल नहीं चाहिए to play with your current with your existing clients data, but these are very useful tool if you want to be bit creative and if you want to give some really good insights to the client who actually values the insight also. Some clients don't value insight, some clients only want कि ऑडिट कर दो बस और कुछ नहीं चाहिए, उन वहां पर आप ये सब वैल्यू ऐड नहीं कर पाएंगे, बट दोज क्लाइंट्स हु वैल्यू योर वैल्यू, प्लीज गिव देम वैल्यू। सो दोज दैट वाज ऑन द सुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग पार्ट। अब अनसुपरवाइज्ड क्या है? अनसुपरवाइज्ड है कि बाबा हमारे पास कोई लेबल अवेलेबल नहीं है, हमें नहीं पता कि इसको क्या नाम दें। सपोज एलियंस की बात कर लेते हैं। Actually, yesterday night I was watching a movie on aliens, so alien दिमाग में है अभी। अब aliens का हमें कहाँ नाम पता कि वो वो एलियन इंडियन है कि एलियन अमेरिकन है कि जापानीज है, so we don't know, but based on how they look, for example the movie I was watching, वो aliens ऐसा बड़े सारे पैर थे उसके। This was movie Arrival, थोड़ी पुरानी मूवी है, और हमने जो कुछ देखे हैं पुरानी मूवी में, वो जादू वगैरह वाली मूवी में, उसमें एलियन ऐसा दिखता है जिसकी एक उंगली है, एक ही उंगली है, राइट, ऐसा। सो नाउ वी डोंट नो द नेम्स ऑफ दिस एलियंस, और जाति, कास्ट ऑफ दिस एलियंस वी डोंट नो, सो वी कांट लेबल। सो वेयर वी कांट लेबल, हम उनको खाली ग्रुप कर देते हैं कि यार तुम एक ही जैसे लग रहे हो। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एक और अगर ऐसा एलियन आ गया जो वैसे तो ह्यूमन जैसा दिखता है, लेकिन उसकी भी एक ही उंगली और इसकी भी एक ही उंगली, इसकी भी एक ही आंख, इसकी भी एक आंख, इसका एक पैर, इसका भी एक पैर, तो कहेंगे अरे तुम सिमिलर लग रहे हो, तो हमने ग्रुपिंग कर दी। हमें नहीं पता, आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू कॉल यू। और ये वाले वो हो गए हु लुक लाइक ऑक्टोपस, बट हमें नहीं पता इनको क्या है, बट हमने इनको ग्रुप कर दिया। या सो दिस इज व्हाट वी डू इन अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग। सो वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल, हम बेसिकली क्या करते हैं, बकेट्स बना लेते हैं। हम कहते हैं यार तुम उस जैसे हो, तुम उधर जाके खड़े हो जाओ, तुम इस जैसे हो, तुम इधर जाके खड़े हो जाओ। तो दैट्स व्हाट वी डू इन केस ऑफ अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग। And one very common technique, very easy technique to use there is called clustering. जो मैंने अभी मैनुअली किया एलियंस के लिए, आप डेटा के लिए इतना इजीली नहीं कर सकते हैं, yeah, because डेटा में there are so many thousands and lakhs of rows and tens of columns. So जो मैंने अभी मैनुअली किया उसको करने के लिए आपको टूल चाहिए. आप एक्सेल में शायद कर पाएंगे, आई डोंट रिमेंबर, but there are tools, you know, these data science tools which can very easily do clustering. So if you see, the original data was this, which you can see here in the first graph. And then in second graph, when you used, you know, the model, data science model, उसने basically 3 groups बना दी. Yeah. Now you may say, अरे राजीव, इससे फायदा क्या हुआ? यहाँ पर पर्पल कलर था, अब आपने 3 अलग-अलग कलर कर दिए हैं. फर्क तो कुछ नहीं है, डेटा तो वही है. ये फर्क क्यों चाहिए? अगर मैं इसको ठीक है, तो इसको यूज कैसे करना है? नाउ लेट्स सपोज दिस इज एक्चुअली द कस्टमर्स डेटा. ये कस्टमर का डेटा है, हमने कस्टमर को प्लॉट किया और कंपनी बोल रही है, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एग्जांपल, द कंपनी सेइंग वी हैव लिमिटेड बजट टू स्पेंड ऑन इंस्टाग्राम एड्स. इंस्टा एड, क्योंकि कंपनी के पास अनलिमिटेड बजट तो है नहीं कि ये जितने भी कस्टमर्स हैं इन सबके इंस्टा अकाउंट में whenever they open Instagram, everybody see our ad and everybody see at the same frequency, because ये टीवी तो है नहीं that आपको सबको दिखानी है. Because if you want to show your ad to everyone in social media, it's costly because it's based on views. Yeah. तो you want to make sure that जो आपके हाई वैल्यू कस्टमर्स हैं उनको ज्यादा दिखनी चाहिए और उनको ज्यादा एक्सपेंसिव प्रोडक्ट के लिए दिखनी चाहिए, है ना. तो आपको पता लगा ये सपोज ये ग्रीन वाले कस्टमर वो हैं जो आपके हाई वैल्यू कस्टमर हैं एंड हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी कस्टमर. ठीक है जी, हाई वैल्यू एंड हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी. सो यू एज द डेटा साइंटिस्ट यू मे रिकमेंड टू मैनेजमेंट कि जितने भी ग्रीन कलर वाले कस्टमर्स हैं इनके इंस्टा अकाउंट पे आप ज्यादा फ्रीक्वेंट ऐड दिखाओ और ज्यादा हाई वैल्यू वाली ऐड दिखाओ. जो ये कस्टमर है पर्पल वाले जो बचे, ये वो हैं जो मीडियम टू लो वैल्यू वाले हैं और मीडियम टू लो फ्रीक्वेंसी वाले हैं. या तो जब ज्यादा खर्चा भी नहीं करते हैं हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म पे और लो वैल्यू आइटम खरीदते हैं, अगेन 2 पॉसिबिलिटी हो सकती है. कंपनी या तो बोल सकती है अरे इसका मतलब शायद ये कस्टमर वो हैं जो हमारे कॉम्पिटिटर के प्लेटफॉर्म पे माल खरीदते हैं, तो अगर इनको क्या बोलते हैं मार्केट शेयर अपना इंक्रीज करना है तो लेट्स स्टार्ट शोइंग देम मोर एड्स एंड लेट्स स्टार्ट गिविंग देम कूपन. या सपोज यू आर एक्चुअली कस्टमर ऑफ स्विगी एंड जोमैटो इज डूइंग दिस एनालिसिस, यार मेरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे तो आप यू डोंट परचेज, तो क्या करा जाए. तो जोमैटो बोल सकता है कि सर इनको क्या करते हैं, इनको कूपन ज्यादा देते हैं, क्योंकि कूपन देंगे और एवरी कस्टमर दीस डेज कंपेयर बोथ द साइट्स या बोथ द एप्स, तो इनको कूपन देंगे तो हो सकता है ये स्विगी छोड़ के जोमैटो पे आ जाए एंड वाइस वर्सा. दोनों कंपनी सेम एनालिसिस कर रही हैं. दैट्स व्हाई दैट क्लोज कंपटीशन कंटिन्यूज. सो दिस इज couple of examples of how clustering is used to do what targeting. And why companies want to use targeting? Because every company has limited budget. Yeah, they want to rationalize their cost. ऐसा नहीं है कि चलो 1000 करोड़ खर्च कर देते हैं सबको ऐड दिखाते हैं, ऐसा नहीं होता है. Company want to say we'll do ads, we'll give coupons, but let's use the coupons, let's use the ads in the most optimal manner. And ladies and gentlemen, ये जो most optimal manner है, please trust me, ये manually आप नहीं निकाल सकते. You need these type of models to give you to complement your skills, because these models can actually analyze vast amount of data to help you in decision making. Yeah, so clustering is something which is very commonly used for that. Okay. Second, इसमें अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग में सेकंड यूज होता है रिकमेंडेशन सिस्टम. रिकमेंडेशन सिस्टम का क्या मतलब हुआ? ये लेफ्ट साइड में मान लेते हैं नेटफ्लिक्स. ठीक है जी, यू आर यूजर ऑफ नेटफ्लिक्स. या नाउ दिस इज अ यूजर and she watched watched by both the users. So she watched a couple of movies, and the similar movies, same movies you also watched. Yeah. So, and this is very simple example. मान के चलते हैं प्रोफाइलिंग काफी सिमिलर है, तो नेटफ्लिक्स के एल्गोरिथम ने ये डिसाइड कर लिया that there is 90% probability that your taste is similar to this lady. So now what will happen? Next time when you open your Netflix, yeah, आप चाहे इस वेबिनार के बाद ओपन करिएगा तो उसमें दिखाता है ना recommendations for you, अलग अलग नाम होते हैं अलग अलग इसमें एप्स में. That recommendation will be based on the profiling that app has done. तो आप अब जब Netflix खोलेंगे तो उस लेडी ने आज जो मूवी देखी होगी या रिसेंटली जो देखी होगी, the same movie will come in your recommendation. का उसका वो रहता है, पूरा एक स्लाइडर रहता है जिसमें 10-15 मूवी बताते हैं कि movie similar to your taste. That is based on the profiling they have done for you, based on which they recommend products to you. Yeah. प्रोडक्ट बोले तो नेटफ्लिक्स का प्रोडक्ट है हायर वॉच टाइम. सिमिलरली अमेजॉन, फ्लिपकार्ट क्या करते हैं, बेस्ड ऑन सपोज यू आर ट्राइंग टू बाय अ लैपटॉप, yeah, and you have selected an Apple laptop. Yeah. One second. Yeah. So, suppose you have Apple laptop. No, not have. You have selected Apple laptop, and when you scroll on Amazon, Flipkart, whichever app, you scroll, it gives you an option that people who bought this laptop, they also bought this type of bag. Yeah? Or suppose हो सकता है वो ABC company का bag recommend. How they are recommending this bag? Because हो सकता है the type of products you buy, yeah, उसके basis पे they would have done your profiling कि आपका टेस्ट किस और कस्टमर के टेस्ट से मैच करता है, and if that customer has also bought similar Apple laptop which you are trying to buy, अब क्योंकि वो कस्टमर आप ही के जैसा प्रोफाइलिंग वाला है, they may recommend you a similar bag which that customer has bought. Yeah. Again, it's a recommendation. You may decide not to buy because आपके पास choice होती है कि हाँ ये तुम सही recommendation दे रहे हो, let me select and then I will add into my cart. But the advantage of recommendation engine is two advantages. Number one, it makes user experience, जिसको बोलते हैं UX. It improves user experience because आपने यूजर की लाइफ आसान कर दी. अब उसने लैपटॉप लिया तो लैपटॉप बैग तो लेगा, अदरवाइज उसको सर्च करना पड़ता लैपटॉप बैग फॉर एप्पल, वो 50 प्रोडक्ट निकल के आते. दे वुड हैव देन अगेन क्लिक्ड ईच प्रोडक्ट एंड सीन की सही है नहीं है मेरे लिए. तो विद रिकमेंडेशन इंजन आपने उसकी सर्च को बहुत ही नैरो डाउन कर दिया कि ये शायद बहुत अच्छा जाएगा तुम्हारे इस प्रोडक्ट के साथ. सेकंड, कंपनी का रेवेन्यू इंक्रीज होता है, रेवेन्यू अप. या सो दोनों को फायदा है, कस्टमर को भी फायदा है एंड द कंपनी आल्सो गेन्स. that's an example of recommendation engine. So if I just summarize, let me go back to the previous slide. Basically, I have talked about, in 2 slides, I have talked about 2 set of analysis models which we use, supervised and next slide में unsupervised. Supervised में, supervised क्या है? Supervised that model जहां पर हमारे को labeling पता है, हमें नाम पता है, yeah, and those names, those data we have fed into the मॉडल एल्गोरिथम में फीड किया कि ये सारा डेटा हमारे पास हिस्टोरिक अवेलेबल है. अगर हमारे को वैल्यू चाहिए, वैल्यू, काउंट, क्वांटिटी वगैरह वगैरह, तो वी यूज रिग्रेशन एनालिसिस. हमारे को आंसर यस नो में चाहिए, यस और नो, गुड और बैड, गुड, ओके, बैड, 1 2 3, and this not 1 2 3 is not value वाला काउंट वाला, this is की रेटिंग. फॉर एग्जांपल आप मेरे को 3 में से क्या रेटिंग देना चाहते हो, 1 स्टार, 2 स्टार, 3 स्टार, तो जहां पर when you are doing this type of classification, that's where we use classification model. Yeah, so this is on the supervised part. Unsupervised में वो है जहां पर हमें नाम नहीं पता, just like aliens, but हमें पता है ये सिमिलर लुकिंग है, तो वहां पर हम क्लस्टरिंग यूज करते हैं, और जहां पर रिकमेंडेशन देनी है टू मेक कस्टमर्स लाइफ बेटर, to make company earn more, make more sales. That's where we use the recommendation. So with that, let me move to another case. मैंने cover कर लिया वैसे तो ये, so we can skip this one. मैंने 2-3 example आपको बताती हूँ. So now with that, guys, let's move to the challenges part. Yeah. 1 second. Challenges के बाद क्या है? Okay, very good. Yeah. So now some of you may get excited कि ये तो अच्छा लग रहा है, let me start doing all of this tomorrow. For smaller data set, I strongly recommend you please experiment, do some trial and error, and play in Excel. You Google, clustering, how to do clustering in Excel. You Google how to do regression analysis, regression और classification. ये सब चीजें आप बहुत easily Excel में कर सकते हो, because Excel में आप जाएंगे तो ऊपर एक डेटा का मेरे ख्याल से एक है टैब, डेटा का है या एनालिटिक्स का है. उसके अंदर आपके पास 2 एड-ऑन्स होते हैं जो आप ऐड कर सकते हो. एक है सॉल्वर, दूसरा क्या है? लेट मी ओपन माय एक्सेल. सो ये नॉर्मली प्री इंस्टॉल्ड नहीं होते हैं, मतलब एड-इन्स ऐड नहीं होते हैं. यू हैव टू गो इनटू इट्स वेरी इजी टू एनेबल दीज एड-इन्स. You can just Google how to enable solver in Excel and how to enable what's the second. Here we go. So let me share my screen. Yeah, Hemraji, you can see my Excel, right? See. So ladies and gentlemen, what I have done, I have clicked on data tab, and when you click on data tab, on the extreme right, you will see data analysis and solver. By default, अगर अभी आप अपना Excel खोलेंगे, हो सकता है you don't see these two, data analysis solver, but it's very easy to enable. आपको फाइल में जाके कहीं पे इधर ऑप्शंस में जाना होता है. मैंने भी गूगल करके ही किया था, शायद इधर मोर में जाके, बट दैट्स नॉट द पर्पस ऑफ दिस मीटिंग. पर्पस ये है जब आप ये, हाँ चलो मैं खोल के दिखा देता हूँ कि जब आप इसको इंस्टॉल कर लेंगे तो क्या होगा. डेटा एनालिसिस टैब में आप देखेंगे you have many of these tools which we as when you start your data science journey, ये ANOVA अभी आपको लगेगा ये तो बड़ा टेक्निकल टर्म है, but you will start using all these. Correlation, variance, descriptive analytics, histogram, और एक important था ये t-test जो मैंने वो बोला ना, accuracy कितना चाहिए, 90% चाहिए कि 95% चाहिए. All those, for all those we do these tests. तो ये थोड़ा सा ज्यादा टेक्निकल हो गया. सॉल्वर वाला यूज करते हैं, वो थोड़ा इजी होगा. सॉल्वर में we use solver for what we call जैसे हमारे को वो करना होता है ऑप्टिमाइजेशन, राइट. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑप्टिमाइजेशन. ऑप्टिमाइजेशन आपको क्यों चाहिए? इफ यू आर ट्राइंग टू सी राउटिंग, है ना, ये भी करते हैं ना, जोमेटो, स्विगी, वो हम भी करते हैं, फ्लिपकार्ट, अमेजोन, एवरीबडी डज, कि every day thousands and lakhs of orders are coming. अब हो सकता है आपके पिन कोड में ही बड़े सारे कस्टमर हैं, आपके आसपास के बहुत सारे कस्टमर हैं. अब जो डिलीवरी बॉय है, इस डिलीवरी बॉय को कौन कौन से रूट का पार्सल लेके भेजें, so that we make best use of his 8 hours. Yeah, that is optimization. Example of optimization. That is where you can use solver. Solver you can also use for प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइजेशन. आपने किया था शायद स्टैटिस्टिक्स में या कहीं तो फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट कहीं पे तो किया होगा. हिमरा जी बोल रहे हैं हाँ किया था. कहाँ पे था हिमरा जी, याद है आपको? किसमें?
ऑपरेशनल रिसर्च.
ऑपरेशनल रिसर्च, हाँ, थैंक यू सो मच. हाँ, ऑपरेशनल, इसमें भी डेटा साइंस में भी उसको OR ही बोलते हैं, ऑपरेशनल रिसर्च ही बोलते हैं. तो वो जो अपने कॉन्सेप्ट्स करे थे उसको बस एडवांस लेवल पे डेटा साइंस में यूज किया जाता है. एंड इट इज वेरी वेरी यूजफुल कॉन्सेप्ट, बिकॉज जब आप एज इंटरनल ऑडिटर जब आप ज्यादा बड़ा रोल प्ले करने लगेंगे, द कंपनीज एक्सपेक्टेशन विल इंक्रीज एंड योर ऑडिट इश्यूज may go into the area कि the way you're operating, you're not maximizing your profits. Yeah, so your findings may include that, or you may also say yes sir, तुम ढंग से कंपनी नहीं चला रहे हो, you're not minimizing your cost. ये दोनों आपको कहां से पता लगेगा? OR से पता लगेगा, और वो OR आपको एक्सेल में कहाँ आएगा? एक्सेल में वो सॉल्वर में, सॉल्वर, या सो सॉल्वर इज वेरी इजी। आप गूगल करेंगे 5 मिनट्स में you will be able to use solver, yeah, and based on that you will be able to tell whether the way the company is operating, is it really maximizing the profit, is it really minimizing the cost. Obviously दोनों के लिए आपको अलग अलग सॉल्वर चलाना पड़ेगा, एक बार इसके लिए, एक बार इसके लिए, और आपके पास डेटा होना चाहिए, तभी 5 मिनट लगेंगे। अगर डेटा नहीं है तो फिर तो हो ही नहीं सकता, yeah? So that's on the Excel capability also, and some of these things can be very easily done in Excel, no problem with that. So what are the challenges you will face? है ना, अभी तो आपको लग रहा है वो everything is so easy, है, Excel में कर सकते हैं, 5 मिनट में सीख लेंगे, but there's few challenges which you need to be aware of. पहला है data quality, yeah? And integrity is not human integrity. Integrity मतलब whether you can really rely on that data, whether that data is accurate. आपको श्योरिटी है कि वो जो डेटा है वो उसके ऊपर आप एनालिसिस बना के मैनेजमेंट को बोल सकते हैं तुम गलत कर रहे हो, या मैनेजमेंट को पता है वो डेटा is not perfect, hence they download the data from whatever system they have, they do some massaging in Excel, and then they come out with the final number. अगर ऐसा है तो आप सिस्टम का डेटा डायरेक्टली यूज अगर करके अगर कहीं CEO के पास आप चले गए तो देन इट्स अ ब्लंडर. So you need to understand whether that data quality is reliable or not. अगर reliable नहीं है तो better you find out where is the reliable source of data. Only then you do the analysis. Second is privacy many times becomes a concern because you as an organization you need to decide which data management can use for analysis and which data management can use with their service providers. Because of data privacy laws in India as well as in Europe, the implications are very substantial. Hence, before you as well as your company decide कि क्या मैं ये वाला master data या ये वाला मैं vendor का data, customer का data क्या मैं use कर सकता हूँ नहीं कर सकता हूँ for my analysis, you need to discuss with the legal team of of that client to understand whether you can use that table. If yes, can you use all the columns of that table or a particular set of columns that table? So that's very important. It's bit painful but very important so that ऐसा ना हो कल को आप ही किसी problem में फंस जाएं. Yeah. Third very big challenge, it's a big one, is skill gap. Why I'm saying so, because me being a chartered accountant and data scientist, I really respect how our chartered accountant knowledge can be complemented by data science knowledge, and hence I tried in the recent past to hire CA plus data scientist. वो नहीं मिला मुझे, yeah. And to Anand's point that because Anand said that he's more worried about the generation from which we belong, me and Anand belong. I would add to that. I would say I'm equally concerned about the current set of chartered accountants as well, because I don't see much interest in the young chartered accountants as well to upskill being a data scientist. And many times they feel कि ये CA कर लिया बहुत है, CA कर लिया बहुत अच्छा है, very strong foundation we have built. But in current times, when competition is becoming very fierce, it becomes very important that we keep complementing our skill set. So that's something which is right now concern. Integration with existing audit process. आपने ये जो examples मैंने बताया, जो tools and techniques I shared, those tools and techniques, how you will incorporate with your standard, your traditional audit approach. So a very thoughtful discussion has to happen. ये जो सारे मेथड राजीव ने बताए, ये मैं यूज कैसे कर पाऊंगा? अगर मैं whether I will use in my audit planning stage, अगर yes तो कैसे? Whether I will use it in my field work, if yes तो कैसे? So that decision has to happen. So firstly, you identify out of the analytics I talked about, which one you think you can use on your client. And once you decide that, second decision needs to be कि कहाँ use करेंगे, किस तरह से use करेंगे. That also, becomes very important. Otherwise, it's a challenging. Yeah. So with challenges, now I move to I think almost the last part, and then happy to take up, whatever questions we have, either from my session or from, Anand's session as well. Happy to pick up those questions. So steps to incorporate data science. अब आप इसको करेंगे कैसे? पहला, as I said, continuous learning, becomes very important. And it doesn't mean that you need to spend, lakhs of rupees to formally get a, data scientist certification or something like that. You can learn, if you are really interested, you can learn from inexpensive means as well. Maybe Udemy, maybe YouTube, maybe, other less expensive courses. Personally, and I am not promoting anyone, but I like YouTube plus Udemy. Yeah. Udemy because it gives me structure, because YouTube में content तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, much beyond Udemy, but I don't know what sequence to follow, right? So for example, if you are new to data science, अब आपको क्या पता पहले क्या सीखना, yeah? Because YouTube में आप search करोगे तो सब कुछ मिलेगा, but what is the right stepwise approach to learn? For that you need someone to provide you structure. So Udemy, Coursera, and there are many more which provide you that right structure, and they are not expensive. So you can start with that. Second important step, ladies and gentlemen, is building a data-driven audit culture. What does that mean? For example, the way I ask my team to operate is, whenever they are in the planning stage of an audit, I encourage them to think of as many analyses as possible for the risks which are existing in that process which they are auditing, and start with the analysis and see what data, what story is coming out from the data. And that is what I would say, rather than straight away saying, okay, let me do the walkthrough, WT, let me do the walkthrough of the process. Based on the walkthrough, I will select 25 or 40 samples depending on what type of control is it, and I will then conclude इनमें से कितने sample fail हुए. So I encourage that you, instead of starting straight away after walkthrough, straight away going to sample testing, you do the you get the data insights also. Data insights. That's very important. And why it is important? Because it can guide you कि जो आपने स्कोप बनाया ऑडिट का, योर ऑडिट स्कोप, जो आपने ऑडिट स्कोप बनाया था, whether that needs to change or not. Because originally you thought that in this process, sub area 1 is a problem, sub area 5 is the problem. So you thought based on your past experience. But when you started with data analysis informed you कि क्योंकि सब एरिया 1 लास्ट ईयर प्रॉब्लम थी, तो मैनेजमेंट ने उसको फिक्स कर दिया, इसलिए एक्सेप्शंस आ ही नहीं रहे इसमें. देयर इज नो एक्सेप्शन. क्या तो क्या करोगे उसका डिटेल ऑडिट करके? जब बिकॉज डेटा ऑलवेज टेल्स यू द ट्रूथ. अगर कोई गड़बड़ कर रहा होता तो डेटा पकड़ लेता उसको. तो इसका, लेकिन फिर भी आप कहते हो नहीं राजीव, इसको छोड़ तो नहीं सकते, इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया है, तो आपको एक्सटेंसिव मत करिए, लिमिटेड सैंपलिंग कर लीजिए आप उधर. लेकिन आपका डेटा एनालिसिस बोल रहा है कि जो सब एरिया 5 विच वाज अ प्रॉब्लम लास्ट ईयर आल्सो, दिस ईयर आल्सो, एवरी मंथ, जैन फेब मार्च, हर महीने के एनालिसिस में एक्सेप्शंस अभी भी दिख रहे हैं. So it means this is one area where you need to spend more time. Maybe आप उधर चाहें तो अपना सैंपल साइज इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं. सैंपल कहां से निकालना है? जो एक्सेप्शंस आपके एनालिसिस से निकाले. What does that mean? Suppose data है 10 करोड़ रिकॉर्ड्स, 10 करोड़, और जो आपके एक्सेप्शंस निकले हैं, ये 10 करोड़ काउंट था, ठीक है ना, काउंट ऑफ रिकॉर्ड्स. जो आपके रेड फ्लैग्स कह लो, जो रेड फ्लैग्स आ रहे, वो आपके निकले हैं से 5000 रिकॉर्ड्स में, 5000 काउंट. तो अगर आपने टारगेटेड, इफ यू वांट टू डू टारगेटेड टेस्टिंग, बिकॉज जो भी प्रॉब्लम होगी इन्हीं में हुई होगी ना, बाकी आपके 9 करोड़ 99 लाख रिकॉर्ड्स में प्रॉब्लम का चांस कम है. तो आई आई एम ऑफ द व्यू, आपको जो ज्यादा सैंपल टेस्ट करने चाहिए वो इसमें से पिक करने चाहिए, बिकॉज इधर कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुई है, और जो बाकी जो क्लियर थे उसमें से बड़ी लिमिटेड सैंपलिंग कर लो, जस्ट इन केस वहां पर कुछ ऐसा हो जो आपके एनालिसिस में नहीं पकड़ा गया, ठीक है। So that way you can be much more targeted in finding where things had gone wrong and why. Collaboration with IT becomes important, self-explanatory. Integrating up, कोई जैसा मैंने पिछली स्लाइड में बोला, अगर आपने ये तो देख लिया कि हाँ डेटा एनालिसिस हेल्प करेगा, बट आपको पता ही नहीं कि स्टेज पे, अगर आपने डिसाइड ही नहीं किया which stage you will use it. Suppose your audit is say for 2 months. If you haven't decided, if you haven't communicated to your team at which stage to use analytics, it is possible that even if your team uses it, आपको फायदा नहीं होगा। पता लगा उन्होंने जब ड्राफ्ट रिपोर्ट बना ली तब उनको याद आया, अरे एनालिसिस तो किया नहीं, और बॉस तो मांगेंगे एनालिसिस, क्योंकि उन्होंने नया नया डेटा साइंस सीखा है, तो बॉस को एनालिसिस बना के देने पड़ेंगे। तो उन्होंने ऑडिट ड्राफ्ट रिपोर्ट सबमिट करने के बाद अगर एनालिसिस किया भी तो कोई फायदा नहीं होगा, बड़ा लिमिटेड फायदा होगा, बिकॉज उसके बेसिस पे टारगेटेड सैंपलिंग तो वो कर ही नहीं पाए, वो उन्होंने पहले ही कर दी थी। So it's better that you integrate your data science component into your audit process. Collaboration with stakeholder becomes very very important. ये आप बोलेंगे ये भी कोई बोलने वाली बात है, ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट बात है, बिकॉज आपके ऊपर के सारे स्टेप्स फेल हैं। ये सारे स्टेप जो आपने इतना टेक्निकल नॉलेज लगा के करे होंगे, वो सारे स्टेप्स फेल हैं if your stakeholder doesn't appreciate what you're doing. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एप्रिसिएशन का मतलब पता लगा आपने उस क्लाइंट पे लगाया जिसको आप मतलब ही नहीं है उनकी से, वो दैट क्लाइंट इज ऑफ द व्यू कि मेरे से बेटर बिजनेस कोई जानता ही नहीं है, और मुझे चाहिए भी नहीं तुम्हारी सर्विसेज, एंड आई जस्ट वांट यू टू डू ऑडिट एंड गिव मी अ रिपोर्ट। या यू आर वर्किंग फॉर अ स्टेक होल्डर एंड दैट स्टेक होल्डर वांट्स प्रोएक्टिवनेस, प्रोएक्टिवनेस, दे वांट यू टू, अगर आप कुछ एनालिसिस करके कुछ उनको बेनिफिट देना चाहते हो, हेल्प बिफोर इट हैपन्स। प्रिवेंटिव बताओ, अगर होने के बाद आप क्लाइंट के पास पहुंच गए ये इंफॉर्मेशन लेके कि सर वी फाउंड कि लास्ट मंथ यू लॉस्ट 10 crore बिकॉज ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम, यू विल से देन व्हाट्स द बेनिफिट ऑफ योर डेटा साइंस स्किल, बिकॉज ये तो तुम मुझे पहले भी बताते थे, पहले तुम मुझे 25 सैंपल के बेसिस पे बताते थे, अब तुमने पूरा एनालिसिस करके बताया, बट स्टिल यू आर डूइंग पोस्टमार्टम। सो इफ द स्टेक होल्डर इज ऑफ द व्यू कि भाई अगर आप यूज करना चाहते हो अपनी नॉलेज, गिव मी प्रेडिक्टिव एनालिटिक्स, सो अगर आप वहां पर प्रेडिक्टिव एनालिटिक्स यूज नहीं कर रहे हो, द क्लाइंट विल नॉट रियली अप्रिशिएट व्हाट यू आर डूइंग। सो कोलैबोरेशन विद द स्टेक होल्डर बिकम्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. That's one reason of collaboration. Second reason is, as I said, डेटा एनालिसिस ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने जो फर्स्ट टाइम में जो एनालिसिस करके रेड फ्लैग्स निकाले या एक्सेप्शन निकाले वो हमेशा करेक्ट होंगे. देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी दैट देयर इज समथिंग, सम फिल्टर व्हिच यू मिस्ड आउट, एंड सो बिफोर क्रिएटिंग एनी नॉइज, बिफोर सेंसेशनलाइजिंग कि वो कंपनी बर्बाद हो गई, 10 करोड़ 50 करोड़ 100 करोड़ का लॉस हो गया बिकॉज ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम, इट इज बेटर दैट यू गेट अ पोर्शन ऑफ योर रेड फ्लैग्स, अ पोर्शन ऑफ योर आउटपुट टेस्टेड with the process owner. Very important. Mouse tested by process owner. उसको चाहे पूरा आउटपुट मत दिखाओ, क्योंकि वो भी घबरा जाएगा कि आपने बोला 100 करोड़ की तो गड़बड़ कर रहा है, वो कहेगा ये तो मेरी कंप्लेंट करेगा मेरे बॉस को, तो बेटर मैं रफा दफा कर दूं. आप उसको छोटा सा पोर्शन दिखाओ, उसको बोलो कि हमें ये दो, सपोज आपके पास 500 एक्सेप्शन आए, 500 लाइन आइटम्स, तो उसको 5 भेजो. बोलो कि हमें 5 गलतियां दिख रही हैं, 5 उसको फिर भी डाइजेस्ट हो जाएगा, तो बोले 5 मिस्टेक्स दिख रही हैं, वी वांट टू वैलिडेट कि सही है कि हमारी कोई अंडरस्टैंडिंग में गलती है, लेट हिम वैलिडेट, एंड देन उसको बता दो कि अब हम एनालिसिस पूरे डेटा सेट पे चलाएंगे, एंड वी मे गेट कि अगर गलती है तो और भी मिल सकती है, तो बेटर है वी फिक्स इट रादर देन continuing with that loss. So that way collaboration is required with stakeholders for 2 things. Number 1, आपका आउटपुट वैलिडेट होना बहुत जरूरी है. इट इज ऑफन इग्नोर्ड स्टेप. आई हैव आल्सो लर्नड इट हार्डर वे. समटाइम्स जोश में मैं भी मैनेजमेंट के पास गया हूँ, भागता अरे हमने पकड़ लिया कुछ, वो पता लगा वो बड़ी दिक्कत हो जाती है बाद में. या दैट्स वन प्रॉब्लम. सेकेंडली, व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, वेदर इट इज रेलिवेंट आल्सो टू मैनेजमेंट और नॉट, दैट आल्सो नीड्स टू बी discussed and aligned. Otherwise आपने वो किया जिसकी वो वैल्यू नहीं करता, तो क्या फायदा है? So that was the last step. That was my last slide. So with that, Himraj ji, over to you in case there is any question. या मैं super clear था तो किसी का कोई question नहीं?
Thank you, Raju sir, for such a nice session. Apart from learning many things, you explained it very well. There are a couple of compliments from the participants, one from Bangalore and another from Hyderabad. Where they really appreciated the way you explained the techniques, the use of the whiteboard and everything. Really liked it, sir. You really summarize well the data collection and extraction methodology. We discussed that point as well. You also do the practical examples. How should we approach the audit, in the practical way? We also discussed the key techniques and tools for data science, especially that supervised learning and unsupervised learning was really really went well. It also reminded me my CA final days when we discussed about the optimization, the classes and the learning that we had it. And on a lighter note, I can say that on Friday evening, we also learn a painting from you, how to draw apple, oranges. So that was really nice. Now I move to the question and answer session. There's one question from Kalyan, Mumbai. The participant is asking that how is data science useful for internal audit in upcoming scenarios? And probably that is also the second, another question, in the same way, that more it is getting to the detection thing, rather than the prevention thing, which of course you covered it, but more insight into that.
Yeah. See, in data science is not only about prevention. As I said, there are 4 whatever steps I shared, let me share my screen again so that it's very clear. Anji, so this is that relevant slide. तो ये जो स्टेप्स हैं जो यहाँ पर लिखे हुए हैं, और यहाँ पर भी मैंने लिखे थे, आप चाहें तो स्क्रीनशॉट ले सकते हैं, whoever asked this question. ये जो स्टेप्स हैं, कलेक्शन, क्लींजिंग, EDA, model building and model deployment, which actually ends with data visualization. This we do in all the 4 type of analytics. Yeah, let me write here so that you have it for your future reference. पहला है descriptive analytics. Second है diagnostic analysis, and I will explain also diagnostic analytics. Third है predictive analytics. Predictive चौथे पे डालता हूँ, easy way है. Third है prescriptive analytics. Prescriptive and fourth है predictive. तो as you rightly said, predictive तो भी भूल जाते हैं क्योंकि तुम तो ऑडिटर हैं. या ऑडिटर से थोड़ा ना कोई बोलेगा प्रेडिक्ट करके बता, वो तो जब when you are on the business side तभी पूछेंगे, राइट? आपके लिए एज ऑडिटर ये these 3 आर इंपॉर्टेंट. डिस्क्रिप्टिव, क्यों डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंपॉर्टेंट है? कहाँ गया हमारा माउस भाई साहब, कहाँ गए? यहाँ आ गए. डिस्क्रिप्टिव हमारे लिए क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है? बिकॉज इट एक्सप्लेन्स क्या हुआ. या नाउ विल से, अरे राजीव इसके लिए हमारे को डेटा साइंस क्यों चाहिए? एक्सेल में हम बहुत बढ़िया करते हैं. सर जो आप एक्सेल में करते हैं, इट इज ओनली 5 to 10% ऑफ द कैपेबिलिटी विच डेटा साइंस प्रोवाइड्स यू. तो आज आप इसलिए खुश हैं क्योंकि आपको लगता है, जस्ट लाइक मी फ्यू इयर्स अगो, जब मैंने डेटा साइंस, ऐसा नहीं मैं सीए बनते ही डेटा साइंस साइंटिस्ट बन गया था, मैंने भी 3 साल पहले ही आई गॉट क्वालिफाइड. तो उससे पहले मुझे भी लगता था जो मुझे आता है वही यूनिवर्स है, जो मैं करता हूं इससे ऊपर तो हो ही नहीं सकता. बिकॉज मेरा दायरा उतना ही था. दिस वाज माय दायरा. वो जब डेटा साइंस करा तो पता लगा इसके बियॉन्ड बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो एनालिसिस करके मैं बेटर एक्सप्लेन कर सकता हूं व्हाट हैपेंड. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो कर सकते हैं. हेंस जो असली दायरा है वो बहुत ही बड़ा है ऑफ डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स कहाँ गया माउस, बड़े दिनों बाद यूज किया तो इसलिए थोड़ा सा ढूंढना पड़ जाता है। डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स, ठीक है। और यू विल बी अमेज्ड, और इसके लिए मतलब ये वाला कंपोनेंट लर्न करना बहुत, इसमें टाइम नहीं लगता है। डेटा साइंस जब आप करते हैं तो टाइम लगता है कोडिंग सीखने में, और आप कोडिंग या तो आप आर में सीखते हैं या पाइथन में सीखते हैं, फिर आप एसक्यूएल सीखते हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें, इन सब चीजों में टाइम लगता है। ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं इनको सीखने में टाइम नहीं लगता। या आप अभी वीकेंड आ गया, कल परसों छुट्टी है, आप गूगल करिए डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स, एक्सेल में आप कर लीजिए। अगर आपका क्लाइंट का डेटा सपोज 1 लाख 2 लाख 5 लाख रिकॉर्ड है और क्लाइंट बहुत बड़ा भी है, तो क्या टेंशन है, आप उसका 1 हफ्ते का रिकॉर्ड डेटा डाउनलोड करके यू एनालाइज दैट। या सो दैट इज द डिस्क्रिप्टिव वन। डायग्नोस्टिक भूल गया है, बाद में बताता हूँ। प्रिस्क्रिप्टिव, कि जब आपने डिस्क्रिप्टिव और डायग्नोस्टिक कर लिया, अब आपको रिकमेंडेशन भी काफी बड़ी देनी होती है ना। व्हेन यू प्रिपेयर योर ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, यू से व्हाट वेंट रॉन्ग, इशू बताते हैं, इसको हम बोलते हैं इशू, यू से रूट कॉज एनालिसिस, एंड यू से रिकमेंडेशन, या उसके बाद मैनेजमेंट बोलता है ना मैं क्या करने वाला हूं। तो प्रिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स इज द वन which can guide you with the recommendation also. Yeah, predictive छोड़ दीजिए, वो जब आप when you join on the other side of the table, there you will be able to use. तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट इन द ऑर्डर ऑफ इंपॉर्टेंस इज, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है आपके लिए डिस्क्रिप्टिव, और उसका यूनिवर्स जो अभी आपको आता है, इफ यू आर नॉट अ डेटा साइंटिस्ट, उसका यूनिवर्स बहुत बड़ा है। या डायग्नोस्टिक स्लाइटली आपके लिए कम इंपॉर्टेंट होगा, बट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और तीसरा है प्रिस्क्रिप्टिव, या इन दिस सेम ऑर्डर ऑफ इंपॉर्टेंस। आप थोड़ा गूगल करिए, आपको पता लग जाएगा हाउ रेलेवेंट इट इज फॉर यू एज ऑडिटर्स। ठीक है, हाँ जी, और बताइए हेमराज जी।
Thank you, sir. One more point that I want to discuss with you, sir. Rather than just talking about data science, internal audit, the another leg is on the risk management side. So how do you think the data science will help the risk management practices for the overall organization?
मेरा पर्सनल व्यू है, risk management can make much better use of data science. Yeah, and when I say data science, again just to reiterate, data analysis is a component of data science. ठीक है ना, is a very small component. data science में वो बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। so जो risk management function है, और उसके नाम अलग अलग होते हैं कंपनीज में। कोई कंपनी बोलती है ERM, स्कोप भी थोड़ा डिफरेंट होता है, बट कोई कंपनी में ERM होता है, एंटरप्राइज रिस्क मैनेजमेंट टीम, किसी कंपनी में इंटरनल कंट्रोल्स टीम होती है, किसी कंपनी में मैनेजमेंट एश्योरेंस टीम होती है। नाम अलग अलग है, बट इन ये सारे जो फंक्शंस हैं, दे कैन मेक मच बेटर यूज, बिकॉज दे कैन, माय पर्सनल व्यू इज, दे कैन यूज प्रेडिक्टिव एनालिटिक्स आल्सो, बिकॉज दे आर द वंस हु आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर मैनेजिंग रिस्क। और रिस्क उनको आज वाला नहीं मैनेज करना है, फ्यूचर वाला भी मैनेज करना है। So based on the historical wrongdoings, not wrong, things which went wrong historically, if they can also predict कि if this is how we continue running the business, अगले साल इतना लॉस हो सकता है या अगले साल इतना फ्रॉड हो सकता है, if they are able to quantify, then it will help them in their risk assessment, जहां पर quantification और probability है ना हमारा। हम जब when we prepare that matrix of risk for risk assessment, we consider 2 parameters: probability of that risk and quantum of that risk. So to quantify that risk, you can use predictive analytics very easily. And I think between internal auditors and the risk function can make better use of some of these capabilities of data science.
Thank you, sir. I request participants that if they have any question, please use the query box which is available in your session. So please do write your question and submit it. We'll be happy to take your questions. Sir, I move to the next question. The participant is asking that the data cleaning and that method, in the data analysis or other thing, it takes a lot of time, and that sometimes it reduces the overall quality of the audit, or probably it creates the challenges in ensuring that the audit results or reports are delivered within time. So how do we manage this challenge?
नहीं, वो तो चैलेंज है, that's absolutely practical challenge. That will reduce over period of time. Yeah, how over a period of time? Whichever data you are analyzing for the first time, it is highly possible that you are the first one informing management that this data has problem. Highly possible, yeah. ये भी हो सकता है management was aware of it, but they thought कि ठीक है इसको बाद में ठीक कर लेंगे, कौन देख रहा है, या हम इसको डेटा को डाउनलोड करके हम एक्सेल में ठीक कर लेते हैं, and then we report to the CEO. तो किसको प्रॉब्लम है? किसी को प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. But if you come up with that problem and say कि अरे आपका सिस्टम ही अगर रिलायबल नहीं है तो इतने बड़े एक्सपेंसिव सिस्टम को लगाने का फायदा क्या? So when auditors create a noise, that is when many times these type of data cleansing efforts are initiated by the company. Yeah. तो अगर आपकी कंपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, तो अगर आपने इस पॉइंट को रेस किया, तो एटलीस्ट जब आप अगले साल ऑडिट करेंगे या 3 महीने बाद दोबारा जब एनालिसिस करने की कोशिश करेंगे, they would have probably fixed that problem, and hence वो वाला डेटा आपका साफ हो जाना चाहिए. बट अब आप तो नया एनालिसिस भी बनाओगे, so when you make new analysis you will find similar problem in new data. तो वो चेन है, वो चलती रहेगी जब तक ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैं, जब तक ह्यूमन बीइंग्स डेटा एंट्री कर रहे हैं, डेटा क्वालिटी चैलेंज रहेगा. Hence let's learn to live with imperfect data.
Yeah, that's perfect, sir. So one more point, based on your experience, you can comment. Generally, the overall comment that we see from management about auditor, they see that they comment that you analyze the past data, or you are, anti-business, you are just detecting the frauds, you are not pro-business, you are not supporting the business, you are not supporting the growth. Now, with use of such techniques and such approach, whether that feedback has improved or whether that feedback is becoming different, or how it is.
Oh, absolutely, and it's no doubt. See, there are two ways. Okay, let's think of two scenarios, Hemraj. Scenario one है जहां पर suppose आपने analysis किया, through that analysis we found that something has gone wrong, the control which the company implemented नहीं चला, 2 करोड़ का लॉस हो गया, और पता लगा आपने बड़ी एक सेंसेशनल सी प्रेजेंटेशन बनाई और आप सीधा चले गए सीईओ के पास, या ओ जी मैंने 2 करोड़ का प्रॉब्लम ढूंढ लिया है, मेरी फीस बढ़ा दो. या दैट्स वन अप्रोच. सेकंड अप्रोच इज यू अंडरस्टैंड, आपने 2 करोड़ का प्रॉब्लम निकाला, पहले तो उसको वैलिडेट करवा लो प्रोसेस ओनर से, मे बी बाय शेयरिंग एन एक्सट्रैक्ट विद हिम. 2 करोड़ की प्रॉब्लम ना शेयर करके पहले 2 लाख की 20 लाख की प्रॉब्लम अंडरस्टैंड कर लीजिए कि सच में है प्रॉब्लम कि हमारा एनालिसिस गलत था. ये भी हो सकता है that our analysis is wrong. This is also possible. The way we design the logic, it may be incorrect. तो better रहता है validate करा लो. So when you validate और आपको पता लग गया कि analysis तो correct है, आपका objective sensationalization नहीं है. आपका objective है to firstly also understand कि अगर system में control डाला था, then why ये 2 करोड़ का problem हो गया? Was that control turned off for some time? वो कंट्रोल बंद कर दिया गया था, या किसी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर के पास सुपर एक्सेस था जिसके कारण चाहे कंट्रोल यूजर के पास तो लगा रखा है, लेकिन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर अभी भी कुछ गड़बड़ कर सकता है जिसके कारण ये 2 करोड़ का प्रॉब्लम हुआ, या कुछ और बग आ गया. तो वो आंसर पता होना चाहिए. और जब आपको ये पता लग गया कि क्यों हुआ, व्हाट मैनेजमेंट हैज टू डू टू फिक्स इट, सॉल्व कैसे करेगा. सी द लीडर्स ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, they want solution all the more as compared to only the problem. So if you just go to them with the problem and say hey, solution ढूंढना तुम्हारा काम है, हालांकि काम उन्हीं का है, but are you becoming an enabler or you are just creating another sensation for them? Yeah, some of you may not like this comment, but the point is in the new age, auditor in addition to finding the problem has to be also enabler. इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि आपको मैं खुद ही फिक्स कर दूंगा, but hello,
yes you're audible, sir.
Okay, yeah, कि मैं खुद ही फिक्स कर दूंगा, वो नहीं करना है, because then you have conflict of interest. But can you double click, yeah, can you go deeper and saying ये इसलिए हुआ because this went wrong, और अगर आप ऐसा कर लेंगे तो this problem may get solved. If you come up with these 3 things, अच्छा your device will restart. अच्छा restart होगा मेरा device. So then then your whatever you're doing with data science, it will be valued. And my experience, is then you are respected much more beyond internal auditor.
Sir, there are a couple of questions from participants whereby they're asking, what are the steps to become the data scientist, or which kind of courses they should pursue, or how should they start their journey to become the data scientist?
Yeah. See, I would say good thing is weekend is coming क्या हो ही गया, बस आप ये सेशन बंद करेंगे तो weekend start है. Yeah.
You have already given the message, sir.
Sorry?
You have already given the message on the last slide.
Yeah, correct. You are right. So I will just reiterate that, Himraji. You are right. I strongly recommend weekend पे सस्ता सा course खरीद लीजिए. सस्ता सा means so that your investment is not huge. Yeah. Sasta not in terms of the value you will get, sasta in terms of the cost you will incur. Udemy, Coursera, there are many such. उनका high rated कोई भी आप data science का course ले लीजिए. Why I'm recommending them? Because इनमें sale चलती रहती है, and I love these platforms for that. 400, 500 में you can get a really good course of 15 to 20 hours. तो parameter आप क्या रखना? Data science सर्च करना with the rating of more than 4.2, 4.3. उनके वहाँ भी 5 point का scale रहता है. And where the duration of the course is more than 15 hours. That is sufficient for you. Weekend पे खाली उसको सुन लीजिए आप. सुनने से क्या होगा, आप एक्सपर्ट बिल्कुल नहीं बन पाएंगे, यूज भी नहीं कर पाएंगे, बट एटलीस्ट आपको पता लग जाएगा कि इन कॉन्सेप्ट्स को सुन के आपको डर लग रहा है या मजा आ रहा है. अगर डर लग रहा है तो छोड़ दीजिए, मजा आ रहा है तो महंगा कोर्स में आप एनरोल कर लीजिए.
And sir, another obvious question, once we do this course, or once we have that kind of skills, what kind of opportunities, for the young and other chartered accountants are available in this field, sir?
The opportunities are unlimited. It purely depends on whether you want to use it in the consulting practice space में आप use करना चाहते हैं, या you want to, you are saying in job and you want to use it in the organization. The demand for data science is in every function. Yeah. Be it marketing, be it operation, means supply chain, be it sales or finance. Finance में तो हमेशा रहेगी, audit में हमेशा रहेगी. But हर डिपार्टमेंट को आज की डेट में वो जो 5 स्टेप्स मैंने बताए, 6 स्टेप्स बताए, वो हर डिपार्टमेंट को आजकल चाहिए. Why? Because every department has limited budget and they want to maximize their revenue. Yeah. So if you are in consulting, you can target, after doing data science, you can target any of these functions or any of these companies who are into these things. And if you are into consulting, not consulting, if you are into industry, then whether you are in finance department or audit or whichever department you are in, you can start small. But जो भी concept आप सीखें, उसको किसी ना किसी डेटा पे implement करना जरूर करिएगा. अदरवाइज 2 महीने में 1 महीने में सब भूल जाएंगे, फिर जीरो हो जाएगा. तो आपने नाम के लिए तो डिग्री ले ली, but it will be of no use to you. So start small. जो डेटा मिल रहा है उस पे काम करना स्टार्ट कर दीजिए. अगर आपके फ्रेंड के पास वो डेटा है, उसकी कंपनी में है, हो सकता है वो आपको डेटा शेयर ना कर सके, तो वीकेंड पे उसके घर जाके उसके लैपटॉप पे उसको एनालिसिस करके दे दीजिए कि ये ले कंपनी में बोल देना कि तुमने खुद ही किया है, बट चाहे काम आपने किया हो. उससे फायदा क्या होगा कि यू विल गेन द नॉलेज ऑफ हाउ टू एक्चुअली यूज इट. सो देयर डिफरेंट वेज. जैसे आप मान लीजिए आर्टिकलशिप की तरह है, 3 साल की आर्टिकलशिप नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, 2-3 महीने लगाएंगे तो काम हो जाएगा. 2-3 महीने रियल डेटा के साथ खेलने में.
And probably last question from my side, sir. How do you think these techniques, these methods, approaches can help to the MSME industry, the clients which are small, or the companies which are small? How should they start using such kind of techniques which can do a value add for their businesses?
Very good and relevant question. See, I would say, suppose आपने data science सब सीख लिया. जब आप क्लाइंट के पास जाएंगे, हमें ये नहीं बोलना है क्लाइंट को कि मैं ये मॉडल सीख के आया हूँ, तेरे पे लगा देता हूँ. द क्वेश्चन हैज टू बी, इज देयर एनी प्रॉब्लम टू बी सॉल्व्ड? या हो सकता है आपको पूछना पड़े शायद अगर नया क्लाइंट हो, लेकिन अगर एग्जिस्टिंग क्लाइंट है, आपको ऑलरेडी पता रहेगा कि व्हाट आर द प्रॉब्लम्स दे आर ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व. बेस्ड ऑन द प्रॉब्लम दे आर ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व, मैंने बताया आपके पास 4 ही तरीके के एनालिटिक्स हैं: डिस्क्रिप्टिव, डायग्नोस्टिव, प्रेडिक्टिव और प्रिस्क्रिप्टिव. आपको देखना इनमें से कौन सा एनालिसिस कि उसको जरूरत है, जिस तरीके के एनालिसिस की जरूरत है उसके अंदर मॉडल्स अवेलेबल, या तो वो टेक्निकल पार्ट बाद में आता है. स्टार्टिंग विल बी, इज द क्लाइंट हैविंग एनी प्रॉब्लम. नाउ इफ इट इज एमएसएमई, तो हो सकता है आपको महंगे टूल लगाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, उसका डेटा एक्सेल में ही आ जाएगा. बट प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, टूल्स आर सेकेंडरी. तो जरूरी नहीं है डेटा साइंस मतलब मैं हर जगह जाऊंगा तो पाइथन ही चलाऊंगा, नहीं नहीं. इट मीन्स आपको, आपके क्या बोलते हैं उसको, तर्कश में बड़े सारे तीर आ गए हैं. नाउ यू हैव टू डिसाइड कि ब्रह्मास्त्र चलाऊं कि वो छोटा मोटा तीर चलाऊं, क्योंकि सामने छोटा मोटा सा ही कोई सैनिक है. तो डिपेंड करता है कि प्रॉब्लम कितनी बड़ी सॉल्व करनी है. कोई छोटू मोटू सैनिक है कि सामने कोई बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. डिपेंडिंग ऑन उसके हिसाब से आप अपने तर्कश में से तीर निकाल लीजिए. अभी प्रॉब्लम ये है, हमारे तर्कश में तीर बहुत कम है. डेटा साइंस करने से आपके तर्कश भर जाएगा विद वैरायटी ऑफ तीर इन योर तर्कश.
Really, thank you, Rajiv sir, for such a nice session, and then taking the question and answer session. Now I move for the last section, which is a vote of thanks. Let me convey my sincere thanks to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and Digital Accounting and Assurance Board for providing me and the other speakers the opportunity to interact with the participants and to convey our message. I also thank Chairman Sir, Mr. Nanda, and Vice Chairman, Mr. Sharma. I also thanks to esteemed speaker, Mr. Jangir and Mr. Rajiv Gupta, for taking their time and sharing their valuable knowledge with all of us. I also thank Secretary Mr. Amit Gupta, Mr. Shubham, IT support team, Mr. Nisarg, and all the participants for ensuring that this seminar, this session, this webinar is having a grand success. I just remember these two lines from one of the shair, and by which I will end this session, who says that कि मुश्किल हो आसान जब साथ चलकर देखें, मुश्किल हो आसान जब साथ चलकर देखें, कुछ तुम बदल कर देखो, कुछ हम बदल कर देखें. So as Mr. Gupta said, change, otherwise you'll be forced to change. It is time to change. With this, I convey my sincere thanks again to all of you, and I end this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Henraji. Thank you.